that the food is at temperature, it's cooked correctly. I mean, Neil will tell you all day long about the regulations of feeding and storing food. And those are for health reasons. So what prevails? Is it religious? And here's the, by the way, no one's arguing that. No pastor, no church is arguing that they're not in violation of the ordinance. And what they're arguing is two things. Number one, selective enforcement. What are you doing? You're going after us. Number two is First Amendment, freedom of religion. That our belief as a religious organization supersedes city code, which, by the way, it does not. There's no way in hell, because you can argue against anything you believe in that violates the law. What if I believe that Jesus told me to go 55 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone? And I legitimately believe that. I'm not even saying making that up to defend it. What do you do with that? So the issue becomes, how much are they going to enforce it? What cities are not going to enforce it? And the story that came out is about cities that do enforce it. I'm sure there are tons of cities out there that just leave it alone, where you have police chiefs and you have officials that say, hey, we're helping people and we're not going to stop it. Particularly shelters, which are illegal under city ordinance in the winter, taking in people who otherwise would be on the street in an area where it's a snow area. Who's going to say no to that? So we'll see what happens. Right now, there's a case in Arizona, and it has to do with Sunday picnics. There's a case in Houston. Jury last year found a man not guilty of breaking local laws when he fed unhoused people. In Santa Ana, officials threatened to fine the church for feeding unhoused people, violating zoning laws. They left it alone. In Oregon, the church sued the city after officials enacted an ordinance making the church restrict its meal service to 2 days a week, which makes no sense. That's going to trial February 15th. It's fascinating the way it works. I can't wait to see what happens on this. And I think it is a much tougher argument or a much better argument that people can make. And then there's one quote that was used in court that I absolutely love. If there were zoning laws at the time of the Bible, Joseph would never be allowed into the manger because there would be a violation of zoning laws. I thought it was pretty good.
Could you imagine that Jesus goes ahead and multiplies the fish and the loaves and the health inspector?
Yeah, that's illegal. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Street vending.
Good point. Good point. All right, coming up, a bunch of students at UCLA and UC Riverside want Starbucks off the campus. Goodbye, Starbucks. And I'll get into that. It's a really interesting story. And then at the bottom of the hour, Dean Sharp with the House Whisperer segment. This is KFI. Let's check in with Amy King live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
The first of a pair of storms is expected to start dropping rain late tonight with heavy rain, maybe thunderstorms tomorrow. Rain could fall at the rate of a ½ inch per hour or more. Forecasters say they do expect some flooding, but nothing significant. A stronger storm is expected to move through starting Sunday. The Compton Courthouse is expected to remain closed through at least Friday because of a second pipe burst this year. The most recent one happened over the weekend. Court officials say the pipe break resulted in a flood that's left the courthouse's public elevators, stairwells, jury room, and much of the lobby inaccessible. The Federal Market Committee is holding its second of 2 days of meetings and is expected to make its first announcement on interest rates for the year. Most analysts are predicting the Fed will not change interest rates this time around. The Fed meets again in March. We'll check some problems on the 405 with the KFI in the Sky next.
If you are seriously overweight, I mean, I understand. I've been there. 18 years ago, I weighed over 300 pounds. And nobody's happy when you're that seriously overweight. Then I underwent bariatric surgery. And it literally changed my life. If you're looking at losing 50 pounds or more, let me suggest the team at West Medical. They have changed the lives of thousands of patients. And today's technology is miles ahead of the technology they used when I underwent bariatric surgery. West Medical works with most PPO insurance to help cover the cost of your weight loss. Call 800-WEST-MED or visit westmedical.com. Free consultation, 800-WEST-MED or visit westmedical.com.
Partly cloudy with highs in the 60s to low 70s. Rain expected overnight and tomorrow. This report brought to you by your Amazon Fresh grocery store. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We've got a crash in Inglewood on the 405. I think we're talking to a robot. Let's check in with Mark and Will in a little bit. This Valentine's Day, find savings you'll love at your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Make the night sizzle with heartwarming essentials. From roses to chocolate to delicious lobster tails. Share the love with help from your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Find a store near you.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Get the appliances you need right away at Lowe's. Explore the largest assortment of brands you trust in-store or online at the best values. Plus, take advantage of their everyday financing offers. Lowe's knows home improvement. Subject to credit approved. City of Los Angeles landlords that own rent-controlled properties. Starting February 1st, you'll be able to increase rents by 4% for your rent-controlled properties. An extra 1% for utility up to 6% can be added only if you pay the entire gas and electric bill. And don't forget to give your tenant an advance 30-day written notice for your rent increases of less than 10%. It is state law. Learn more about the rent increase at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org.
Stock up on seasonal produce at Whole Foods Market. Get 2 large Hass avocados for $3 with Prime through February 6th. From salads to toasted sourdough, it's the ultimate addition to any meal. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
It's the perfect time for that new dream kitchen because the Kitchen Store is having its big sale. Find the best place for kitchen cabinets in all of SoCal and the big sale by dialing 310 Kitchen, 310 Kitchen, and on the web at 310kitchen.com.
Are you feeling tired? Or are you actually just thirsty? Grab a water, my friends, to help hydrate and feel energized. To help you.
Funded by USDA grants and equal opportunity provider and employer. More healthy victories at CalFreshHealthyLiving.org. If you have rats in your attic or walls, don't make the mistake of putting out poison or wasting money with a company that charges you monthly to check rat traps. Rat Proof. For a one-time fee, Rodent Stop will identify and seal all rat entry points, trap and remove all rats, sanitize your attic to remove any nasty viruses, and remove and replace all rat nest-infested attic insulation. Rodent Stop is so confident that they can stop your rat and mice problems that they provide a lifetime guarantee. Read all the 5-star reviews on Yelp. If you have rats or mice in your house or business, call Rodent Stop at 800-290-5343. 800-290-5343. We provide fast, friendly, and effective rodent control solutions throughout Southern California. Plus, our technicians are clean, friendly, and always on time. To stop the rodents, call Rodent Stop at 800-290-5343. Open 24 hours. Call 800-290-5343.
My name is Chris Moody, host of the new podcast, Finding Matt Drudge. I'll be taking you on a journey to find the mysterious media mogul Matt Drudge, founder of the Drudge Report. Along the way, I'll talk to people who have worked with him, dined with him, and fought with him, taking listeners into private conversations, all in an attempt to get a better understanding of who Drudge is and what motivates him. Hopefully, he'll even sit down with us. Listen to Finding Matt Drudge on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Metro officials unveiled the new name for the West Santa Ana branch line, the Southeast Gateway Line. Gateway to what? Why do they call it like Death Coach? Low, Kelly, because you know exactly who it's serving and where it's going. Live 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
And this is KFI AM 640. Bill Hampton here. Wednesday morning, January 31. Sorry, last day of January. Yes, it is a hump day. You know, we have to have some music for Taco Tuesday too, Neil. And we have to figure out Thursday because if we have Hump Day Wednesday and Taco Tuesday, I know we have Foodie Friday, but that's just sort of ours. You want to theme out the whole week? I think so. Yeah. You know, you're good at that. I'm going to let you,
Monday,
you do that.
Taco Tuesday, the Humpty Hump.
Yeah.
Today.
Thursday is,
Thursday.
I don't know, Foodie Friday is ours, so we don't have to do that.
Foodie Friday. And then Sleepy Saturday.
Yeah. Do they have a case Monday? Can we do something with that?
There's already a song. Wayne wrote one.
Yeah, he wrote lots of them, but I don't know. We want something that'll just take off and be accepted. All right, guys.
Reinvent the Wayne. That's what I say.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Bottom of the hour is, as we always do on a Wednesday, today, Handle and the House Whisperer, and it's Building Your Dream House Part 4. Okay, now, let me tell you what's going on at UCLA and UC Riverside. There you got a bunch of students that are petitioning the school to remove Starbucks from campuses. You know, Starbucks are in college campuses all over the country. All right, you know, people go to college like going to a Starbucks. Matter of fact, coffee is a big part of going to college because you stay up. You know, and you know, the cost of amphetamines has increased dramatically since the time I used to do amphetamines in college. Law school, I lived on coffee. Of course, I wasn't at the school. I was working, but you know, you still live on coffee. So here's what's going on. You got a bunch of students who are very unhappy with Starbucks, and not because they think Starbucks is doing, or the Starbucks organization is doing anything to them or the school. It's a solidarity issue because they're accusing Starbucks of union busting. And they are saying, okay, because you are union busters, therefore we want you off the campus. Now, the problem is they want the campus to become political, and that is pro-union, as opposed to anti-corporation. Now, that gets really interesting as to how much politics should be involved in a school. And, well, for example, you see the demonstrations going on. Well, students demonstrate, you know, as far as what's going on in the Middle East, both sides of the question. That's what students do. But I don't know about this. Now, does Starbucks have a reputation of union busting? Well, let me tell you about corporations that are non-union. Corporations that are non-union, read Amazon, for example, do everything they can to not have unions involved amongst their employees. And the reason is very simple, because when you have collective bargaining, the union comes in and negotiates on behalf of all of the employees in that particular category, and traditionally, historically, they just do better. They get better benefits, they get more money, and that is historical. Now, Starbucks is arguing, wait a minute, and then corporations do that. There are companies that tell their employees, listen, you're doing better than anything the union can give you, and they buy it. And it's true. And so they vote not to unionize. And so the students are saying it really doesn't matter, because they're not talking about money. They're not talking about the Starbucks doesn't give the benefits. Starbucks gives, for example, I think medical profit sharing to part-time employees. They start people at, I think, let me get this right, I think $17 an hour. And the story reads that right now, a store in California is $17 an hour, and under the contract we drafted, not union, drafted with the people that work for us, no one is going to make less than $20 an hour. And that's what I'm reading. Is that true? I mean, people will email me and say, no, that's not true. So I don't know the answer to that. But I do know Starbucks is one of the better companies out there in terms of employees. You know how many people have left iHeart to go to Starbucks? We've got middle management here that have left this company to become baristas. They just do a pretty good job. And so is the university going to cave? You know, I don't know. I don't know. Union busters. Oh, by the way, when a company is fighting the union under federal law, what a union can do is actually go into a company and have meetings to establish the union, and the company has to let them do that. Has to set aside room, has to let them have their pamphlets, have to let union representatives talk to them, and any violation of that goes to the National Labor Relations Board. Let me tell you, it is very pro-union. Certainly in California, we're very pro-union. Arizona, Nevada, not so much. Not so much. So which way are they going to go? Well, I hope that the universities don't cave. And UC Riverside officials, by the way, said that full-time non-management workers at Starbucks are already university employees, and they work at Starbucks. They're already represented by a union. And students don't care. I don't care. Because Starbucks is trying to bust the union in New York, we want you to throw Starbucks out here. By the way, you know who's paying for all of this? Getting the petitions, having meetings with these students, Pete's Coffee.
No? Are they just going to change every 4 years? They're going to get a new group of students in to go, no, now we want Starbucks here.
Yeah,
probably. The next one comes in and goes, no, we don't want Starbucks.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're done. Coming up, Handle and the House Whisperer, Building Your Dream House, Part 4. And that's with Dean Sharp right here. Let's check in with Amy King live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Close to 300 sex buyers have been arrested in L.A. County as part of an annual human trafficking sting.
And 193 of them were arrested in the city of L.A. LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton says during the recent week-long effort, officers rescued a 14-year-old girl.
We had a total of 9 juvenile victims that we rescued. The suspect who was trafficking this young victim, who is our youngest victim rescued this year, had actually been trafficking her since the age of 13.
Operation Reclaim and Rebuild mobilized 95 local, state, and federal agencies around California to conduct massive sweeps and undercover operations. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
A new bill in California could let therapists and social workers decide if a patient needs mandatory detention. Currently, police officers decide when someone needs to be held in a mental health facility for 72 hours. The bill says licensed professionals should be able to decide without police intervention. Data shows from 2020 to 21, more than 120,000 adult holds were issued. California Police Chiefs Association supported the bill introduced Monday. DNA has led to a 140-year prison sentence for a twin brother convicted of kidnapping and raping a 9-year-old girl and a jogger in Orange County. DA Todd Spitzer says both twins were arrested in 2019.
Was the genetic genealogy pointing to both twins and Kevin Compter's admissions to his brother while being secretly recorded that resulted in his conviction.
Spitzer says Kevin Compter also lived in the area when the rapes happened in the late 90s. The guy was also sentenced Friday for molesting his former girlfriend's daughter. The FBI director is set to warn lawmakers about the threat of Chinese cyber attacks against the U.S. BBC Sandy Field says Christopher Wray will tell the House Chinese Communist Party the U.S. isn't doing enough to stop China from targeting critical electrical grids, oil pipelines, and transportation.
Intelligence officials say those attacks could cost the U.S. trillions and threaten lives, but Congress must make sure they devote resources to stopping future Chinese cyber attacks.
Hackers in China last year breached the email accounts of the State and Commerce Department. Officials say the hacking campaign lasted about a month. The only Starbucks in downtown Pomona is closing because of problems with homeless people. The front door has been slammed so hard it broke. An employee was spit on. Grab-and-go items have been stolen. And hygiene apparently an issue. The store's manager says they're closing in a couple of weeks for the safety of their partners and customers. At Starbucks at Mission Boulevard and Gary Avenue has been open for 20 years. It will close at 4 p.m. February 14th. Southland weather from KFI should be dry today with a mix of sun and clouds. Highs in the mid-60s at the coast. 60s to low 70s inland, 50s and 60s in the high desert. Rain rolls in tonight with heavy rain time expected at times tomorrow. Could see gusty winds and thunderstorms too. Chance of rain on Friday and Saturday, then rain likely again on Sunday and into next week. It's 56 in Garden Grove, 56 Laguna Beach. We've got a crash in Inglewood on the 405. Let's check in with the KFI in the sky.
Yes, the 405 as you head northbound right before Manchester crash there on the right shoulder. Traffic is stopped back from the 105. Further north on the 405, this time in Mission Hills, southbound side between Devonshire and Sunset Boulevard. That's basically the stretch of all the slowing as you head south and try to get out of the valley. In the Downey area, the 5 northbound between Florence and Lakewood Boulevard, lots of brake lights there. And if you're coming down to the Cajon Pass from the high desert, not a bad drive. Looking for trouble there and not finding much. So that's finally some good news there. Unfortunately, very slow on the 101 out of Woodland Hills. The south or eastbound side of the 101 jammed. And you're coming on down to the, basically the Hollywood split. It's the 170 and the 134. Will Colschreiber, KFI in the sky.
We're always talking about Sweet James accident attorneys for good reason. Here's a story that proves why you should never face an insurance company alone if you're hurt in an accident. One of our listeners was seriously injured in a trucking accident. Guess what the insurance company offered him for his injuries? Zero. Nothing. So he called Sweet James, and not only did they get him the medical care he needed, but they secured a whopping $10 million win. Life-changing, right? In the legal system, having the right attorney makes all the difference, and that's why you call a firm known for consistently delivering the top results in the state. Call 809-MILLION. That's 809-MILLION. You won't pay a dime until they win your case. Every case is unique, and they can't promise an outcome, but you need to have an experienced team by your side. And don't wait to call, because waiting may hurt your case. Call Sweet James at 809-MILLION. That's 809-000-000 or sweetjames.com.
The Love Affair is on at Whole Foods Market with sizzling sales on animal welfare certified New York strip steak, sustainable wild-caught lobster tails, and more through Valentine's Day. Find deals on all your delicious desires at Whole Foods Market.
Need help managing junk at your office? Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK to make it disappear.
I feel incredible because I called 1-800-QUEST-MEDICAL.
This is Jacob Emron. If you've been in a truck accident, call 844-24-JACOB.
I should feel safe living in Los Angeles, but I don't. That's why I'm voting for Judge Craig Mitchell to be our next district attorney.
I'm Judge Craig Mitchell. As a criminal court judge for almost 20 years, I see what is happening on our streets. Robberies, home burglaries, murders. We need a district attorney who is not afraid to say, enough is enough. The far-left agenda is only benefiting those who commit crimes, not protecting law-abiding citizens or providing justice for the victims of crime. A common-sense approach is needed. It is what I do in my courtroom every day. It is what I will do as your district attorney. Please vote for me, Judge Craig Mitchell.
Paid for by Mitchell for District Attorney 2024.
At one of the most famous restaurants in the world, there's a table in the corner that's the hottest reservation on the planet.
Yes, over here.
Safe for the restaurant's owner and her hand-picked personal guests, Ruthie Rogers and her River Cafe Table 4. That's where the most incredible conversations on the planet are happening every week, captured in her very special podcast with guests like Will Ferrell.
My dinner one night, pasta, and the only thing I had was some mustard. My roommate at the time was like, you can borrow some of my tomato sauce. I'm like, oh no, I prefer the mustard.
Martha Stewart.
I did not have an affair with Michael Caine, but I did have an affair with one of his best friends.
And Jimmy Fallon.
We were the most boring people to ever stay at Richard Branson's island. He's so fun. And he said, Karen, good morning. Would you like to go race in the submarine? You know, we're like, no, we're happy in the pool.
We've saved you a seat. It's all in her very intimate podcast, Ruthie's Table 4. Listen to Ruthie's Table 4 on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
KFR AM 640. The news, what it means, why it matters. KFI AM 640. Bill Handel here. It is a Wednesday morning, hump day, and boy, there's a lot going on today. The president has said he has decided how he is, or we, the United States, the military, is going to respond to the militia backed by Iran that attacked that U.S. Army base and killed 3 servicemen, well, actually 1 servicewoman and 2 servicemen. And we don't know what the attack is. We have no idea what the response is. And the president obviously is not going to share that with us. And he did say it will be at our time, our place, and to
how we're going to do it, we will decide how to do it, clearly. Now, let's do it. It's Wednesday morning at 8:30, and as always, it's a segment of Handle and the House Whisperer.
Home, let me come home. Home is with you. Home.
And it is time, Dean Sharp. Home with Dean, Saturday morning 6 to 8, just before Handle on the Law. Sundays 9 a.m. to 12. And he is at Home with Dean is his address. Dean, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Okay, building your dream house, part 4. Let's go to that.
We are right in the middle here on the show of doing an ongoing series at the beginning of the year where we've taken a lot of our content that we normally dish out over the course of the year, and we're putting it in a kind of order so that people can understand not only the information but the process of, like, okay, how do we get from point A to point B and move along? And so, yeah, we're up to steps 4 and 5 now for this weekend. Step 4 being the chicken or the egg. Where do you actually start your design? This is
okay. So next week we're going to do part 5.
Actually, this weekend I'm doing part 5 as well. Both.
Okay, so we're going to hear it next weekend or next week also, so people can hear the last of it, part 5. Do I have that right?
This weekend, part 4 and 5.
Got it. All right. No, I
Both
get it.
steps.
Okay. So let's do it. Tell us a little bit about part 4.
So, chicken or the egg? Basically answering the question, where does your design process begin? This is something that is universally frustrating to most homeowners because they're so anxious to dive into it, and they've got all these thoughts floating around in their head, and they just don't know where to start. It's a very simple question, but an important one. I'm ready to start, but where do I start? Let's say, for instance, we're designing a kitchen, and this applies basically in our whole series, by the way, to whether you're remodeling the whole house or you're building a brand new house from the ground up or you're just working on one room. All the principles apply. So let's say, we're tackling a kitchen redesign. You're ready and you've got this whole kitchen, you're going to start brand new. Where do you start? I have clients stare at me and say, I don't know, do we pick out the counters first? The flooring? Is it the tile? Is it the, cabinet color? Where do I start, Dean? And the question is, well, you can approach this 2 ways. Either you can stay confused because, the endless paradox of the chicken and the egg, there is no answer to it. Or you can just accept the fact that both chickens and eggs are delicious and order yourself a plate and get started. And that's where I tell my clients, listen, what's in your head when it comes to this area? What's the first thing that springs to your head? What's your biggest item on your wish list? If it's the floor, let's talk about the floor. Oh, I really, really want this kind of smoked oak flooring. I would love it if that was the floor in the kitchen. All right, then that's where we'll start. We'll start with that as a given, and then we'll start working cabinet color and counters and tile from there. If it's the tile that's stuck in your mind, I saw this photo and I've always wanted a backsplash just like this, then we start there. The point is, whatever it is the leading item on your wish list is for that space, as far as the material is concerned, it's real easy. Start there, and we'll start crafting everything else around it.
All right, so a couple things that have to be very, very difficult today, and one of them, of course, is arranging financing. It has to cost you far, far more than even a year ago. So people have to be very frustrated with that. Also, just the cost of building materials themselves have increased, and tell me if I'm right, at least 30%.
Well, building materials are up, but they have come back down quite a bit from post-COVID times. Yeah, we saw a massive increase, and they've settled back down at a lower. But yeah, right now we're still in a place where it is a little more expensive to build on the material side than where things were pre-COVID. But most of it is not out of reach for most people. And again, this is why making these decisions about what your biggest priorities are in a space like a kitchen, that's the most important process of actually saving your budget along the way. Because most people are really thinking in terms of 2 or 3 game-changing ideas in their new kitchen. And that means that not everything has to be the Rolls Royce of materials going in. So if we prioritize the things that are in fact most important, then we can allocate money in the budget towards them, and we can find ways of saving money on the things that are not as important.
And so let me ask you, I know you're not involved in the financial part of it, but right now my head is spinning towards that because I'm going back to when I remodeled, I'm going back to when I built. It's today, and that is it harder to get the money for a remodel than it is a new build? Do you happen to know where the world is going on that? And I'm not going to hold you to it because I know you don't do the money part.
Actually, HELOCs are the most common tool that are used. So, lines of credit against the equity on your home. Most people will enter into some kind of a HELOC, which is an ongoing line of credit for a construction loan. Of course, it has a due date, but it's pretty easy to work with most of them, and most finance companies are pretty open to that idea along the way. What's gone, and I think gone forever, Bill, is back in the day, probably back when you built the Persian Palace and, 20, 30 years ago, we could all look at saying maybe taking a second out on a house. Second mortgages are a thing of the past. They are virtually, I think, impossible to find. I haven't seen one forever. So now you really got to make a decision between a line of credit, on the house and that individual tool, or refinancing the house and taking cash out, and that is tough these days because interest rates are higher. That means changing the entire structure of your mortgage rate.
Okay, and so let's talk about the people that you get to do this. And over the last couple of years, we have seen, or certainly over the last several years, we have seen where you have people in the construction business desperate for work, and so many just got out of the construction business. And there are times when you just can't find people that are willing to work because there is such a dearth of people out there that are out there in the market that will build your house. So what's going on in that regard?
Well, what's going on in that regard is probably the same thing that's been going on since day one, and that is that good contractors are in short supply and bad contractors are everywhere you turn. So, what do? It's one of those areas where, again, I advise people, slow it down, take your time. Now, if you're in an emergency situation where you just got to push something through, then okay, it's understandable. But rushing time on your project, you're never going to end up with the best project, the best process, or the best results at the end. Find the contractors that you want to use and get in line. That's my best advice. Even if it means that your project's going to wait 18 months for that one contractor to be available, it is worth it because you're going to be living in this home for decades to come.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back, and we'll continue on with part 4 of Building Your Dream House with Being Sharp. Let's check in with Amy King live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Flood watches are up in Orange County, the Apple, Lucerne, and Coachella Valleys, and the mountains of Riverside and San Bernardino counties as the first of 2 storms heads into Southern California. Forecasters say 2 to 4 inches of rain is possible before these storms move out. Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen say they plan to keep up attacks against U.S. and British warships in the Red Sea. A spokesman says they're targeting the ships because the U.S. and Britain are participating in what it calls aggression against their country. The U.S. and Britain support Israel's war against Hamas. State Senator Scott Wiener has introduced a bill that would allow people to drink alcohol on public streets and sidewalks, kind of like in Las Vegas. Wiener says the designated entertainment zones would activate downtown streets where activity has struggled to rebound from the pandemic. Partly cloudy skies on the way today with highs in the 60s to low 70s. As I mentioned, the rain is expected to start overnight and last through tomorrow. This report brought to you by Indeed.com. Let's check in with KFI in the sky. We've got flowing in NoHo on the 170.
And that's a no-go in NoHo, southbound 170. The brakes start to get pretty heavy there at Victory Boulevard as you head southbound. It is slow all the way down to the Arts District there. It gets a little bit better once you get past the Holly Spoke, the 101 and the 170. Continually south on the 101, it's slow down to the Corona Pass. So kind of a slower than usual drive on this stretch. Southbound one of the 101 gets really heavy just past Sunset Boulevard on down to the 4-level interchange. If you are trying to get out of Inglewood or through Inglewood on the 405 northbound before Manchester, crash there on the right shoulder has traffic slow from the 105. And the southbound side of the 405 pretty slow out of the valley, starting at Victory as you make your way on down to Sunset Boulevard. Will Coles driver, KFI in the sky.
New year, new hiring needs? Indeed's end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit. This report is sponsored by Whole Foods Market. Save on snacking staples at Whole Foods Market. Prime members buy 3 bags of Kettle and Late July chips, get one free through February 6th. Don't miss out on the delicious crunch of your favorite flavors. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
If you're looking to sell your home, call Seller's Advantage. They'll make you a cash offer with no need for repairs. With Seller's Advantage, there are no agents. They can close in days. They buy with cash. They may even offer a $10,000 advance to help with moving. Check out the reviews online. Call for no obligation offer. 888-321-AS-IS. 888-321-AS-IS. 888-321-2747. SellersAdvantage.com.
Don't worry, still chatting with Seller's Advantage.
DRE number 0961658.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-506-9295. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmares today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-506-9295. That's 800-506-9295. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps you find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Restrictions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Get ready for the big game with the free iHeartRadio app. Pre-game with perfectly tailored playlists like Big Game Tailgate Party and more. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search Tailgate, and listen now. Make the big game great with iHeartRadio. We never sounded so good.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
I am a new crocheter.
You're a purveyor of the thread arts yourself?
I'm trying, and it is not a gift. It's been a struggle. It's tough, man. Your fingers cramp up. I screwed up the starter loop thing, so I could redo that, and then it took me like 10, 11 different tries, and it was like 2 hours it took me to get to that.
Gary and Shannon,
Stick with it. Live 9 to 1 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
And this is KFI AM 640. Bill Handel here on a Wednesday morning hump day, and a lot going on today. The FBI director, Christopher Wray, today is expected to warn us Americans that the Chinese hackers are preparing to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to the U.S. I mean, it is a mess, god-awful mess. And this is where I look at former President Trump being absolutely right as far as our enemy is really China. All right, back we go. Dean Sharp. Dean at Home with Dean is the show. Home with Dean Sharp. House Whisper, Saturday, 6 to 8 a.m., Sunday, 9 a.m. to 12. And his social address is at Home with Dean. All right, Dean, we're going to go back and we are going to finish the segment on part 4 and 5. If you want, I know you're doing part 4 and 5 this weekend, building your dream house. Are you going to let us know a little bit in advance about part 5, or are you going to hold off till the weekend and tease it here?
No. Well, let's talk a little bit about part 5. Part 5 is actually when we step into the thick of it as far as what you as a homeowner are looking for in sense of your design. And I teach my clients design from a very particular perspective. I want to make it as easy for them to understand and to remember their priorities as possible. I don't want to bore them with a bunch of architectural mumbo-jumbo. You can go read tomes and tomes and tomes of it everywhere. But essentially, for me, it boils down to this, and this has become something that people can really understand and get behind. Human architecture is for human beings. And what I mean by that is simply this. All art is this way. It is the way we are as people and the way we observe and experience the world through our 5 senses. So my priority when it comes to design for any space, whether it's just, what pillows are going to go on this bed, all the way up to what's this brand new house from the ground up going to look like, we are dealing with the 5 senses, your 5 senses. And the top of that list is what we're covering in step 5 this weekend, which is sight. Sight, it's the most important human sense. Study after study, the vast majority of people, you can interview 1 million people, and we will always get the same number. Somewhere between 70 and 80% of people who respond say that vision, the one sense that they don't want to have to live without. If you could only have one sense left, vision is the one that everybody wants. And that's no surprise then that architecture and most art, more than anything else, is vision. And so I'm going to step into that sense on Sunday's show.
All right, so a question I want to throw at you. I have known, and I'm talking probably 30 people who have either done major remodels or have built homes. Not one of them had a project, a home, a remodel that came in on or under budget and on or the time that was supposed to, that's right in the contract. It just never happened. Certainly didn't happen to me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so should everybody expect that?
No, you don't have to expect it. You should plan for it, but you don't have to expect it. There are, in fact, it's kind of like with the situation where the stories that everybody ends up getting told and passing around, of course, just like in the news, are the most interesting, the bloodiest, the nastiest, the worst stories around. There are, surprisingly enough, a lot of projects that come in on time and on budget. There are. Of course, there are contingencies. Of course, there are things that can happen along the way. But it really isn't the horror story landscape out there that most people expect that it's going to be. You should plan for the worst, but expect what is reasonable most of the time, within a very small margin. Mm-hmm. Good contractors, good projects, good design, and that's why we spend so much time on design up front, because when we get the plans right, everything else can flow as easily as possible. Now, construction is stressful. It simply is, and there are a lot of variables, but on time and on budget is not not some mythical, unicorn out there. It actually does happen.
All right, so one last question. I want you to comment on this. This is more, what do you think? When I built in the Persian Palace, that's the only house that I built from scratch. My philosophy is the day I moved in was actually the day I listed it for sale. That I want to make sure this is the most saleable house I can possibly build, within, of course, the parameters of what I wanted. Comment.
I don't really have a problem with that. I have a problem with people who put the saleability of the house for somebody else above their own wish list on a house, but I don't think you have to make the decision between the two if you're designing it right. We always want people to take risks and to push out and being creative and make a dream house truly yours. But if you do it according to the best practices and rules of architecture, you're going to create a house that a lot of people will want to live in.
Okay, and when I list the house, I'm sure the interest is going to be among Iraqi sheep herders, and that's it, because it's a really strange house. Dean, thank you. Catch you this weekend with Building Your Dream House Part 4 and 5, and that's Saturday 6 to 8 a.m., Sunday 9 a.m. to 12. Have a good one, Dean.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, coming up, it's Gary and Shannon. So, Gary, what's going on?
Well, we're going to have the latest. We keep waiting for whatever response Joe Biden has planned for the attack on the American outpost there in Jordan. We could see something today. We have a very special guest coming up in the 9 o'clock hour to talk about storms. It's KTLA's Henry DiCarlo. And then, of course, we have just death and destruction happening in two of the most liberal cities on the West Coast. San Francisco has had fentanyl overdoses well above the national average. And then the city of Portland has also had to declare a state of emergency because of the amount of fentanyl on the streets there. We're talking about all of that, parenting with Justin Worsham, what you watching Wednesday, and even a baby puppy Loris. Slow Loris. Not the fast ones, the slow ones. That's all coming up on Gary and Shannon. KFI and KOST HD2 Los Angeles, Orange County.
Talk without the tilt.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the Iger Radio app.
Trafficking in a trio of countries. I'm Amy King, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The FBI in LA says 19 people have been charged in connection with a major drug trafficking scheme across the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
The feds have recovered hundreds of pounds of meth, cocaine, and fentanyl that were smuggled from Mexico, channeled through LA, and on the way to Canada. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada says the feds believe the organized crime syndicate is connected to the cartel.
We've disabled a major network of drugs, not just in our country, but also Canada. And we're going to hold the people accountable who brought these drugs into our country.
Estrada says 10 people were arrested yesterday, 2 were already in custody, and 7 others are still on the run. The feds say the amount of drugs seized has an estimated street value of up to $28 million. Chris Adler, KFI News.
A man's been arrested for allegedly shooting another guy who used a women's restroom at a park in Redlands.
The man shot told police he tried using the men's restroom first, but it was being used while he was inside the women's restroom over the weekend. 2 girls walked in, spotted him, and quickly walked out. One of the girls told Rudy Vasquez the guy was in the restroom. Vasquez allegedly shot the man in the knee and hit him with a gun when he left the restroom. Police say Vasquez took off in an SUV. He was arrested about a mile from the park. Police say he threw a gun out his car window while he was being pulled over. The man shot is expected to survive. Reporting live, Blake Trolley, KFI News.
A suspected hit-and-run driver who killed a man trying to cross the street in South LA has turned himself in. Mark Taylor had been riding a motorcycle in May when he allegedly hit the elderly man crossing Western Avenue. Detectives had offered a $50,000 reward yesterday for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the driver. Parents in Porter Ranch say the LA school district may be forcing middle schoolers onto a high school campus because of overcrowding. Christy Rose says parents are outraged at the district's proposal to move 6th through 8th graders into bungalows at Chatsworth High School.
They are including us and letting know what's going on. It's disheartening. You know, we're supposed to be a family, and I would love if they would invite us to the table so we had a say. And more importantly, we can plan accordingly.
Parents protested outside the school Monday night demanding transparency and an alternative solution. The district says nothing's been finalized and it will be discussing options with parents. 2 people have been hurt in a plane crash near Camarillo. The small plane went down yesterday afternoon near a water treatment facility. The 2 people in the experimental aircraft were taken to the hospital. They're expected to be okay. A man in Pennsylvania accused of killing his father, then showing his decapitated head on a YouTube video, has been arrested. Police Chief Joseph Barteria says the man was found about 100 miles away from the scene yesterday.
I think the neighborhood can rest easy because I think they were a little uneasy for a while before they knew where the person of interest was.
In the video first posted to YouTube, the man is seen wearing gloves and holding a head in a plastic bag. He goes on to talk about right-wing conspiracy theories, calls his father a traitor for being a federal employee, and demands the death of all federal officials. The Department of Justice is investigating Missouri Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush for her campaign spending on security services. Bush has denied any wrongdoing and says she is fully cooperating with the department. She claims she has faced relentless threats to her physical safety since she was elected in 2020. He says she is not entitled to personal protection by the House, so she used campaign funds instead to retain security services. William Hung, whose American Idol audition in 2004 went viral, is going to work for the LA County Sheriff's Department. He'll be working as a crime analyst. Hung, who's now 41, had the job several years ago, but left for a career as a professional poker player. Hung says that about ruined his life. He says he developed a serious gambling addiction, cost him his marriage. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-60s at the beaches, near 70 for Metro LA and Inland OC, 60s to low 70s in the valleys and Inland Empire, 50s and 60s in the Antelope Valley. Rain's expected to start falling after midnight, then expect to see rain tomorrow, heavy at times, with thunderstorms possible in the afternoon. Highs will be in the 50s to low 60s. Smaller chance of rain on Friday and Saturday. Then another storm's expected to move in to Southern California on Sunday, and it's going to hang around for a few days. It's 56 in Anaheim, 56 for Redondo Beach, 57 in West Covina, 59 in Rancho Cucamonga. The KFI market report, the Dow is trading up 24 points. The NASDAQ is off 210. S&P 500 down 40. Let's check in now with the KFI in the sky. We got a crash in Miraloma on the 60.
Luckily, it looks like this one just got pushed over the 60 freeway westbound at Etiwanda. Crash there, clearing off on the right shoulder. The traffic's still pretty slow back from Country Village Road. South LA, it is slow on that 110 northbound from Florence, but the market is between the boulevard. There's a whole lot of traffic there. Earlier crash still being worked on in Inglewood, 405 northbound before Manchester. Traffic pretty slow back from El Segundo, even though that one's off on the right shoulder. And it looks like we've got a solid big rig on the 57 northbound past Lambert Road. It's the white lane housing you can see there. Overall, no huge, big, super large incidents anywhere in oil. Knock on wood, hopefully you keep it that way. We're cold price. Hey, it's Team Shark. You know, for years now, I have told you that there are only 2 types of solar companies in Southern California. Sunlux and everyone else. And year after year, Sunlux proves me right. The same is now true of the newest addition to the Sunlux family, All Guard Roofing. All that time on the roof, dealing with roofers, Sunlux knows how rare it is to find a roofer worthy of your trust. Their answer? Assemble a dream team of the finest roofing professionals.
Hello, my name is Michael Rothschild, and my public defender told me in jail earlier this week that once I got out, I should call this number.
Okay, who was your public defender?
You know what? I don't remember.
Okay, that's okay. I'll go ahead and look it up for you. Can I get your first name?
Michael, Michael.
And your date of birth?
12/26/85.
They're just a click away at allguardroofing.com, allguardroofing.com. CSLB 11076.
Okay, and do you have a middle name?
Yisrael?
Same exact coverage as the
With a Y?
Yes.
Okay, and your last name?
Rothschild, ROTHSCHILD.
50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM. Active cost savings based on cost of consumer cellular single line 5 GB data plan with unlimited talking text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk text and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out.
So your
All you
public
need to do
defender
is
is
give my
Wayne
office a
Davis.
call.
Let me go
I'll
ahead.
send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works.
Here, let me go ahead and give you the number to reach him
Call
at.
Leslie now for your free
Okay.
info kit. 800
I think it's going to be
522
657
800 522
Okay.
5700.
251
Listen on the free
Okay.
radio app for all your music,
6674.
sports, and podcasts.
Excellent. And do I have to call them or can I just show up for court?
Who's Gary Hoffman? He's my best friend. I am understandably curious. Shannon Farron. Use sarcasm to distance people.
And yet you're still here.
Gary and Shannon.
You think that's going viral? That's going viral.
You can just show up to court. It says your first hearing is going to be February 6th at 8:30 a.m.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you so much for your help. Is there anything else I have to do?
No.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Viral mental health check-in. This is accurate. President Biden has reposted Elmo's post on social media. Now, this all started when Elmo decided to check in with people on social media. How y'all doing?
Literally, he just said, listen, whoever writes Elmo's Twitter account, was it Twitter? Said something like, I'm just checking in, how's everybody doing?
And so everyone began what they call trauma dumping in the comments on Elmo's post.
That's a good term.
And so Elmo reposts and says, wow, Elmo is glad he asked. Elmo learned that it's important to ask a friend how they are doing. Elmo will check in again soon. Friends, Elmo loves you. Heart, hashtag emotional well-being. The president reposted that and said, I know how hard it is some days to sweep the clouds away and get to sunnier days. Our friend Elmo is right. We have to be there for each other, offer our help to a neighbor in need, and above all else, ask for help when we need it. Even though it's hard, you're never alone. And I think that's lovely. I do. But what the hell are we going to do about Iran?
Well, whoever's posting on behalf of the president needs to stop. They need to read the room. They still need to see what's going on. And as fun as it is that Elmo is,
pulling back the curtain when it comes to mental health.
there are also things going on right now that would probably be better served if they were being paid attention to by the administration.
Are you wearing 4 layers today?
No, just 3, as a matter of fact. But yesterday I was so cold. My hands were so cold when I left this room yesterday that it took an entire half an hour of driving home for them to finally warm up. That was not
You
comfortable.
could have just asked Mondo to warm you up.
To just sit on my hands for a while.
Yeah, or put them under his armpits like this.
But I could have asked them. You are right.
It works better when you have boobs.
It does, and I think, as one who is not gifted in that area, I mean, I know what you say, but
I think you're well endowed
my hands stay cold.
in your chest. Oh yeah, did you hear this? This is like basically grandpa's on.
What's up, Bob? How are you?
Hold on a second. Mark Zuckerberg is addressing the gallery, not the senators.
Well,
Rocking out.
Taking it,
What's new with you?
Taking it all morning. Okay, so the leaders of the top social media companies.
I understand, my man.
Are on Capitol Hill today. CEOs from Meta, TikTok.
I'm just chilling, baby.
Discord, and X. They've all faced accusations from senators that they're failing to protect children from sexual exploitation. Lindsey Graham told Mark Zuckerberg he has blood on his hands. He said that many minors have committed suicide after becoming victims of sex extortion scams online. Dick Durbin claims social media has given
Hi, how are you, James?
powerful new tools to abuse children.
Better than I was yesterday. I met a really interesting person. I'd love to. So I was in jail, right? Okay. And I'm in a predicament because, and I understand. Oh, let me just check this text message. This person is amazing. Okay.
That is now accused of carrying out the attack on U.S. forces in Jordan.
So I was in a real predicament. Like I'm a survivor, but I was like, man, okay, I just got out of jail and I don't want to go back to jail. But my the person who owns the house came to the door yesterday. I thought he said he would give me till June, but he said, no, you have to get out tomorrow, basically today. And I was like, holy shit, what am I going to do? That means, okay, I'm homeless in California. That means all my streams are down. That means I'm in survival mode. I have to get to a shelter they're overfilled. I'm not prepared to survive on the streets right now. We've got really bad weather coming when it comes to a lot of rain, and I don't have a tent. They took my shoes in jail. They took my Sproto mask. They took my Sproto pants. I don't even have that kind of stuff. So I would be in sad shape. So the first thing that I would do if I had to do that, though, is get to a shelter. And if they said, hey, we can't, no room at the inn, dude, I'll just wait outside the shelter, and they'll get to know me after a couple days and be like, okay, we know this guy. I'll go to the nearest bus stop and just stand, like literally sit at a bus stop for days while the rain passes. And, but here's what happened. I haven't talked to my family. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I just was streaming my life, and I didn't really want them to know about it. So I hadn't talked to them in 3 years. I called my aunt yesterday, and I was like, look, I was arrested, yada, yada, yada. And she's so cool. She's like, you can come live with me, at least till May 15th. Because her son, she's in Florida right now. Her son comes up to visit her from Florida. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, wow, I can hitchhike home, I think. She's like, no, we'll pay to get you home. How nice is that? It's incredible. It gave me hope. So I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. This gives me hope. Like, okay, so that means maybe try to stay here somehow. So then I put out an ad in Craigslist really quickly with my mugshot, and because I don't want to hide anything from anyone. And a few people texted me. So not a lot, but like some gay guys who wanted sex and stuff. And I thought about it. I even thought, as like a caregiver, what would I do? I would give a guy a massage, because I have all kinds of massage tools. I have like rolling pins, and so I wouldn't necessarily have to like get in there with like my hands as much. And just one moment, let me just see what this person is saying.
Shannon just mentioned that atmospheric river, a winter storm watch will be in effect from late tonight through tomorrow night in the San Gabriel Mountains and along the 5 and 14 freeway.
So
up to 18
I
could fall above the 7,000 foot mark.
Put out an ad in Craigslist, and somebody got back to me. And this person is like, yeah, I've got a room. You can just live in it. And
before the white SUV struck a young boy who was crossing with his family in a Westlake Village crosswalk in 2020.
And
Former President Trump will
you can just live in it. He's like, but there's something that I want you to know about me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm all ears. He's like, I'm blind. I'm like, oh, not that I want him to be blind, but that's great. I can help him because I'm really techie and I'm really savvy. And fortunately, I do have my sight, even though it's not that great. It's better than being blind. So we started talking about that last night on the phone. And we talked for like an hour, and I asked him about his hobbies. And so, when you're blind, you don't necessarily know about all that there is perhaps in the world. Not that even you or I do with sight. But he wasn't as savvy with podcasts as I think perhaps might have been beneficial to him. And so I asked him, what is it that is of interest to you? And he said, old-time radio specifically. He's like, oh, old-time radio, like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. He's like, exactly. Like big radio dramas and mystery theater, that kind of stuff he likes. Because it creates a whole world audioly, and that is something that kind of puts everybody on the same plane. Exactly.
I'm Susan Owen, managing partner at personal injury law firm Owen, Patterson & Owen. For over 47 years, OPO Law Injury Lawyers has been and will always be there when you need us. Call us today, 888-OPO-WINS or OPOLaw.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, I heard media can help you reach your goals and find new
So,
we reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else.
Basically, we talked for like an hour last night, and I can just, you can just tell. I mean, I can tell with you, James, but where somebody has a good heart and they're like, you don't think this is a scam or whatever. And so I told him, look, here's the deal. I don't know if I'm going to have to be out in 1 day or 1 month. I told the person who owns the house, please give me 1 month. And they turned their back on me and just walked down the stairs. So whether that was yes or no, I don't know. I did have a thing on my door that said I had to get out. But okay, so they kicked me out. Fine. I'll walk to this guy's house or I'll take the bus. And that gives me an opportunity. And even I have court next week. I just called about it. I'm going to plead nolo contendere. It's a case that is a year. It took the DA a year and a half over a text message that someone allegedly over an alleged text message that I allegedly sent. And it wasn't like an instant thing. This isn't something that was recent. This happened allegedly in 2001 or 2021. So we're looking at 3 years now. So it's like you could have sent a text message 3 years ago that somebody didn't like, and you didn't have the police at your door. But nevertheless, without getting into specifics, because I really would. I mean, I'm an honest person, and I will put everything out there. There's not too much I can do about it right now. So I called the public defender's office and told them that I would be in court on Tuesday. And they said, okay, they gave me my public defender's telephone number. I'm going to call them, I think. But they said I didn't need to, but just to show up. And I spoke with this person. Here's the thing. I know you're going to say, well, what's the name of the person, the blind friend? I don't know. I don't remember. It was like, when you first meet someone and you're all like flustered and it goes right by you. So, but he's cool. We have a good enough relationship that I'll be able to say to him, hey, here's the funny thing. I was so excited to make a friend. I didn't even catch your name. One of those things. And it'll be kind of one of those things about which you can laugh. And he's really into old time radio. And, all I do is listen to things and stream my life. So I told him, hey, so he texted me last night after we had spoken, and he was like, it was really nice meeting you. And I said, or I texted him, and then he texted me back, and it was like, okay, we have a new friend. So I wake up this morning, and we start texting, and I said, hey, do you want to listen to one of those old time radio programs together? Because, it would just be like listening to a podcast. All I do is take one device, put it next to my phone, and listen to it alongside him. And he was like, oh my God, I would love that. I'll get my popcorn. I'm going to the Braille Institute, though. Can we do it this afternoon? I was like, oh, totally. So we've got that going, which is great for both of us, because for me, I get to learn a little bit about his world, and we'll get to build a relationship. And for him, I hope it provides some, and for me as well, entertainment to listen to some of these shows. I read him a list of the shows that they had available just on his phone on the podcast app, of which he wasn't really aware, because very few people use the podcast app, the default one on an iPhone. It's that purple one. A lot of people use Spotify or iHeartMedia or something like that, but so I'm excited for that. That means I have options. Basically, like best case scenario, I get to stay in this house for 1 more month at least, and do everything I can to go viral, but then maybe move in with him and not have to move back. But if I had to, I have an option. As of yesterday, my options were go back to jail, which is terrible, but it could have been a lot worse. I was in a very different kind of situation where, since I need a CPAP to sleep usually, or I should, it's like a medical disability, so I got to be in the medical area, but it wasn't good. It's not like they treat you nicely, but it was better than normal. I got to watch the AFC and the NFC championships. Who else gets to say that? There's a lot like Jailhouse Rock. There was like, we all kind of banded together. But I don't want to go back. So there was jail, there was homeless, which was just living under a bus shelter until my court date. And now I've got some options. So options are always good, right, James? Oh, no, she lives in the Midwest, but she visits Florida a lot. Her son, my cousin, lives in Florida, so she visits him in the winter, kind of like a snowbird, and so she won't be back until for like 2 weeks, which is fine. Even if I had to spend 2 weeks, God willing, I won't have to, but under a bus shelter on the street, if I had an option out, that's better than full-on homelessness. It's always better. I've lived in my car. I sold my car for this project, James. I did everything. I mean, no one has dedicated themselves to world peace anymore. And I've thought about this a lot. You know, like people say, is there anything that you do again? And yeah, of course, everybody always can do things differently. But at the end of the day, I'm really proud of my work. I have the world's largest archive of media in global history. It's just nobody knows about it. Maybe someday somebody will, and it could still get very, very popular. And in the meantime, I'll continue to do everything I can. I'm very comfortable being on camera, and all it has to happen is the right people have to learn that there's this much media online, a time capsule of society. Hey, let me grab this call. Just one moment. This is Rabbi. This is Rabbi. Hello?
And he's like, no, I'm cool with Henry, you know?
Hello?
And so it's become a joke in my home, and it's
Hello?
led into the show, and I've been asking for you for weeks, so thank you for taking the time to join us.
Oh, Shannon, Gary, I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you saying that, and always happy to be a part of your home and give a little weather, so thanks for watching KTLA. We do appreciate it.
Let me ask you this. Being a weather guy in LA,
I think he just accidentally dialed me.
But specifically LA, do you get made fun of by other weather people from different parts of the country where they actually have weather?
No, I don't necessarily make fun of them.
So anyway, I mean, my life has just been a whirlwind. I'm sore from being in jail, meaning like, you know, everything's really hard and cold. And certainly when I got home, it wasn't any better. I mean, it's better to be in bed, but it's like everybody's mad at me here. Nobody wants the guy who got arrested in the house here. So, but honestly, I have hope, and hope is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And, you know, I'm going to tell you this. Oops. No, he called me again. There you go. This is Rabbi. Hello? 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 Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, and they're stop and go and stop and go. I think they're some of the worst drivers, unfortunately.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Yeah. Are you calling me?
Yes, I'm calling you.
Hi. How are you?
I just want to hear your voice.
Oh, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing to hear your voice as well. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Sorry.
Getting ready to take off.
Absolutely. Sorry we didn't I missed your first call, or you couldn't hear me. I didn't know if you had accidentally dialed me or what, so.
No, I tried to call you. I don't know. I'm going to stop by and have my phone checked out because sometimes that happens and I'm not sure why.
Certainly. Hey, you know they're going to come out in the next 5 years with a Braille phone? They already have the models of them. So it's a phone, but actually Braille comes out of the it's like adaptive. So the screen starts flat, but then Braille shows up wherever there's text on the page. And I think that's going to be a game changer. I've already seen some prototypes of it. So that's something about which to get very excited.
Oh my goodness. How exciting is all this?
It's very exciting. I mean this. I mean, of all the times for you to be present and to have this, it's a beautiful one because you're going to have perhaps a before and an after of your life. I mean, like we said, a generation or two ago, there aren't that many options. Now we're looking, like I said, I would be surprised if you lived another 41 years and you aren't a fully sighted human. And there are all kinds of really exciting. And again, if you don't want to get there, that's okay. A Braille phone is a great step as well. Are you an expert in Braille, I imagine?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I read grade 3, so I don't know what to.
So you could even probably be like an advanced user of this type of equipment. You know, once we see it, if it's of interest to you, we would get you in a pilot program so that they give you a device so that you're able to give them feedback on it. But then you'd be really, you know, in the pilot seat, essentially, if that would be of interest to you as well.
Yeah, well.
Because they need people to be able to troubleshoot these devices before it goes in the mainstream blind world. And of course, the people who they would want to do that are people who have perhaps an excellent grasp on the ability to use Braille, and you would be one of them. You could be able to say, you know, the the dots. I don't know what you call them. What do you call them? Dots? Braille. The imprints are in the wrong spot, or I want the font to be bigger, or whatever. You know, you can really customize it for people. So that's really exciting. Oh, absolutely. We'll find a program, especially in the state of California. We're going to be the trailblazers for that type of technology. So, you know, and there's like California Institute for the Blind. There are all kinds of um, groups to whom we can reach out and say, hey, you know, this kind of technology, even just the company, it just takes an email to say, hey, we know that you're working on this type of technology, and when you want to get it in the when you have prototypes of it, when you're at the user testing stage, please let us know. We'd like to be on your soft list, to be on that to be a part of that group, to give you feedback on it before it goes mainstream. And I think we'll be able to get that. And there are several companies who are doing it, and that changes everything too. Because imagine, once that technology is in a phone, then that means it's going to be on like public boards, like a menu. It could be on like at the mall, those public boards that are like flat, any kind of flat screen at an airport. All this stuff could be adaptive, and that could be very beneficial to people as well. Well, I am so glad we met. You know, some other things about which I'm excited when it comes to vision are the ability I read to so you know how normally we sleep and you fall asleep. Well, in the future, people will see that time as valuable, and so we'll actually be able to stay conscious while we sleep and enjoy things. So you would be at the same state as I am. You know, did you hear as well today? They just announced the first successful Neuralink transplant in a human. Oh my God, this is for you. I mean, I would say this: I don't want any I didn't want any. I don't want anything in my body. Meaning, like I'm kind of like a natural person, but if I had an issue like perhaps hearing or vision or paralysis, I would look into more exploratory options just because I would need to bridge that gap. Well, at least Neuralink is supposed to be the answer for that. And what is that? So I don't know if you're familiar with Neuralink, but this is Elon Musk's company. So Elon Musk, the SpaceX guy and the Tesla guy, I don't know if you're familiar. He's the richest publicly known person in the world. So he has a company called Neuralink. And what this has done over the course of the last 5 years is done trials, first on like small mammals and then going into primates. And now I believe it's an actress was the first person to be a human trial of what is called Neuralink, which is essentially something that connects to the brain. It's a brain technology interface. But what this is supposed to do, and this is what they're announcing on the news, is this is supposed to first help people who are paralyzed and people who are blind. Those are the first two people it's supposed to help. And so now, like, you know how we were saying, I don't want you to be the guinea pig for anything either. I don't think that's a good idea. Like, let's make sure it works. But this isn't anymore like, oh, in 5 or 10 years, they're going to be doing this on people, and that really takes 10 or 20. No, I mean, this is on the radio today. This is a successful Neuralink implant. The person's alive. And so what this is supposed to do is really change the game for a human. No longer will you have to like memorize really long paragraphs of things. This could be essentially in your head already. Data could be in your head, but also the ability to recreate the visual cortex is something that this has the ability to do. This is really supposed to help people with disabilities first and foremost, and people with any kind of paralysis and blindness. Though that's exactly for what it was. So you're like the perfect person. I mean, the timing couldn't be more beneficial, I think, for all of this to be coming together. And Also, as exciting as it is, I completely understand any concerns that you may have as well. You like your world. Maybe it might be nice to have some little bit easier things, but you don't have to go jumping in fully. As of right now, into full brain Neuralink interface, I completely understand that too. But just know that there are going to be people out there who will have experiences saying, I was blind from birth and now I have sight because of this technology. And you may hear them and it may become more and more common, and you may say, oh, I might give it a shot someday. Absolutely.
We will continue to enable this company to continue to commit the injustices that they do with their own workers.
That's a beautiful thing. I am too. I'm so glad I found you. I was just telling someone about you, how happy I was to have met you and to have a new friend first and foremost, and how beneficial we were together. So I don't know, like I was talking to this person, and I was saying all the benefits that I think we could be to each other, particularly when it comes to audio. Are you familiar with the social media app Twitter?
They changed, right?
Yes. So Elon Musk, the guy who owns Neuralink and SpaceX and Tesla, he owns Twitter as well. He's buying a lot of things. Yeah. So it was a big deal. He's owned Twitter for about a year. So now it's changed over. Its new name is X. Well, if you ever hear me just say Twitter, just know I'm talking about X. They're the same thing, but I'm kind of old school, if you know what I mean. And also, X to me is still a letter, and so just if I say Twitter, okay, I think you know what I'm saying. Well, Twitter is usually text, so I could understand how that's not of too much benefit, but Twitter has a feature that's been around now for 3 years that is amazing. It's called Twitter Spaces, and what is that? Twitter Spaces is basically like party lines. Do you remember party lines from the 1980s? You may not. You're a little young for this. But basically in the 1980s, there was this, you could call like a 900 number and talk to all your friends and be billed by the minute. And they were very popular. The way that I found out about them, actually, I dated a girl. She ran a campaign, believe it or not, for a blind candidate. And this blind candidate got really big into being a DJ, everything audio. And he was a DJ, and he also ran party lines in the 1980s. And so he was really into audio. So that's how I learned about party lines. And essentially a party line would be like what we have going on right now, but our friends could call into it and maybe like 4 or 5 of us could talk at once. Well, what Twitter Spaces is the same thing, except you can have a million people in it. And not everyone talking at the same time, only 10 people at once. But it's on every kind of topic that you would want. So I want you to know that basically, like, you should never feel like you are in the desert of like being social or anything. There are, and I'm going to teach you these. I'll show you using my own devices, and you can hear what it's like. But the reason why I mention this is I've made friends using this technology, and here's how. I would go onto Twitter Spaces, which are these audio rooms. They're not visual yet. They're talking about visual, but a lot of people on Twitter Spaces don't want it to be visual. They like the audio part of it, and I think that's really good for someone like you, because everybody's on the same playing field then. And what I would do, I like trivia, and so I would go into these spaces, and when the space was boring, I would volunteer my services, and I'd say, hey, would anybody like to play trivia? And boy, it got really popular. And one of the groups was a cryptocurrency group. I don't know if you know what cryptocurrency is, but essentially it's an alternative against fiat currency, or like the dollar, basically economies that can be influenced more by companies to move away from that kind of system and more towards independent financial growth. So these people are really into Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. And they really liked me. And they're like, hey, we want you to join our company, our community. And they sent me a bunch of, they know I stream my life on the internet and that there's a lot of advertising opportunity there. So I have been, they sent me all kinds of clothing, and they sent me all kinds of bedding, and and then they allow me to stream my life in their community. So every single day they come in and they say hi to me. I mean, that's who I was talking to. So it's like I have, friends there, and they can see me. It's like it's like I'm a fishbowl. They can literally watch me whenever they want and see what my world is like. And so I'm a very open person. I'm very honest, and I do everything that the normal person does, I think. And so I'm not afraid. I literally allow people to watch me sleep. And there are people who sleep alongside me. People eat alongside me. They just like knowing somebody's out there. It makes them feel comfortable. It's exciting because that's the future where people are basically can interact with you. And at least on Twitter Spaces, people love it because they're able to discuss whatever they want for free. And they don't have to talk if they want. So there are people on Twitter Spaces. I don't know what other hobbies you have other than old time radio. Excellent. Oh, and then you can give concerts on there if you wanted to, and a lot of people will attend, and you can even make money if you wanted. So what you would do, and I can help you with this, very easy. You schedule a concert, and you'd be like piano concert. I had a friend of mine who did this too. I know you got to get going for the bus, so just tell me when you need to go. If you need to go now, we can talk about this later. Let's talk later then. Excellent. We'll talk about setting up, maybe listening to you on the piano on Twitter Spaces, and if not, we've got old time radio this afternoon. I'm really excited for it.
Well, yeah, me too. I've been thinking about it all the time. I'm afraid I'm going to get a new game. And, I might get two of them. One
Do it.
for backup and one, to use every day.
Absolutely. Are they foldable? Telescoping?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're fold canes. I do have straight games which I really like, but the problem with it is, like if you're in a group or something and you want to fold it up, and you have to have it like on the floor or something.
Right.
Anyway, it's not as convenient. And one thing that you can help me with when we're together is I tend to rock a lot.
Sure. That's common.
Well, I know some people, it's probably not all that attractive, so if I am,
I don't mind that at all. I understand it's a completely normal thing.
and sometimes I'll snap my fingers.
That's okay.
But, well, you know all the things.
Absolutely. I have, please remember I have cousins who are blind. Fortunately, I have my sight, but I've done my best to overcome some things, and everybody's got little things. And you're a musical person. And so, I think probably the rhythm and vibrations of society run through you, and it's just kind of an expression of yourself. So I'm not worried about that at all. And I like snapping too. So here you go. I'm a good snapper.
Oh, God, I love you. Okay,
I love you too. Excellent. Enjoy the Braille Institute. Call me when you'd like.
I will. I will.
I'm all for it. Excellent. And you've been eating well. Everything's good with your health and everything, God willing.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. We'll talk later. You take care.
Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye. Yo, dog. What up, Bitcoin? What up? More lights in here. What up, baby? Wow, we got the whole crew in here. How you living, babies? Hey, if anybody didn't know, I made a friend. If you're like, what's his name? I don't know. You're like, you're saying you love him. I know, but he's a really nice person, and I do. I just don't remember his name. Why? Because we just met yesterday. I got really desperate, guys. I mean, if you don't know, I was in jail, and the DA brought a case against me 3 years ago, and it took him 1.5 years to bring charges. Anybody can, and for what was it? Allegedly, I sent a text message somebody didn't like. So anybody can do that. I didn't punch anybody. I didn't hurt anybody physically. So I didn't embezzle anything. Anybody can send a bad text message. I think that's understandable. But so I called the prosecutor, or I called the public defender and told him I'll be on court. But I'm getting evicted. That's a big deal in my world. I was facing homelessness and either jail again. I mean, that's not anything you want to do. You guys see my life. I don't do anything that exciting. But nevertheless, those aren't places that you want to be. And so I haven't spoken to my family since I started streaming my life. I didn't really want them to know about it, but I got desperate and I called my aunt, and she was so nice. She just gave me hope when I didn't have hope, and I told her I was arrested, and she was like, I'm like, do you think my parents would let me move back in with them? She's like, well, you can live with me. I was like, really? She's like, well, at least till May, which is something that's better than being on the street. And that gave me hope. And so I got to talk with her, and I was like, well, I think I could hitchhike home if I needed. And she's like, no, I mean, I'll send you a ticket or something. Well, you don't have to do that. She was just really serious about it. And it gave me hope. And I had to learn all kinds of information at that time. My parents' dogs had died. One of the dogs had been mine. So, you know, it's like you lost a dog. Okay, whatever. Our dogs, but you move on. And I'm taking all this information on like one at a time. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's really great. I'm going to post something to Craigslist just to see if somebody has an extra room and if I can help them and in any way. And this person got back to me. They called me twice, actually, and said they had an extra room, but they wanted me to know that they were blind. And I don't want anybody to be blind. I want to help people with blindness. But I want to help. I want to be of use to someone as well. I don't want to just be mooching on someone. So if it can be a mutually beneficial relationship, just so I can stream my life, I'm all about it. And we've developed a really great friendship in, 24 hours or so. And so I asked him his interests. One of his big ones is old time radio. And so we're going to listen to old time radio later this afternoon. He's going to the Braille Institute right now. I don't know if you heard. He's getting 2 new canes, hopefully. So that's a good thing. But it keeps me off the street. And so you're everybody's favorite rabbi. I'll hopefully be streaming a little bit longer. I did ask the person who owns the house here if I could stay 1 more month, and he turned his back and walked down the stairs. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. So I don't know what that is. That means I could be out. So I just want the community to know why I have time to say it, how much you've meant to me. Literally, I got arrested in your clothing you gave me. I mean, that you can't be any more dedicated to that than that. And I would still be wearing it, but the clothes smelled so badly, they had to burn them. Literally, they're like, nope, they're done. We incinerated those things. So, I did what I could to rep the brand. And I'm going to continue. I mean, I'm not stopping, but I just want everybody to know that what happened to me, because I'm an honest individual and things happen in life. But you know what? I just don't think that I know I have more data online than any person in global history. That's still worth a whole lot of money someday, perhaps, to someone. And if anything, it's a time capsule of what society has been. And that's very exciting to some people. There's a lot of things that people can learn from almost 3 years of someone's life uploaded to the internet from 360 degrees. So I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well. I'm really glad I met a new friend, though. This person's really nice.
Yes, every time I look at the type of aircraft in that seat back pocket there.
No, before you make your while you're making your reservation.
No, I'll only notice.
That's a great question, Turbo Autism.
Something remarkable, like
I'm going to try to stay in this house 1 more month. Oh, I got court next Tuesday. I've got court on Tuesday. So that's the next move. I have to at least make that court date. I'm going to plead nolo contendere. Basically, I want just probation. I want this to go away. And I think I'll be able to get that. And then I just have to stay good. And so my options are stay in this house maybe 1 more month. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. Then move in with my blind friend. And that's great. He lives in the same county. He lives in Anaheim, right by Disneyland. So that's cool. And I mean, I'm someone who likes to help people. And I'm really looking forward to helping him. He doesn't know about Twitter Spaces. And I mean, we were just talking about it. That has a really great he has a really great opportunity, I think, to use what he does have. I want him to be able to live life as fulfilled as possible, and I think the way that we're that as friends is through audio. And so I plan on, here's the plan, Turbo Autism, to in short, continue building a relationship with him. I want to be his friend the rest of my life. He's a really nice person. I want to help him. I want to see him get sight someday if that's what he wants. But then either move in with him, stay out of jail, and stay not homeless. And then if I need to, I would move back to the Midwest. But fortunately, I have options. And basically this time yesterday, I did not have options. I was really thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to be homeless in 24 hours. And I still might be. So I don't want that to go away. But hopefully I might get another month. And but actually, in its own way, there's some really good parts about this. What are they? One would be free rent in California. You can't beat that. I mean, nobody else is going to give you that. 2, a new friend. That's great. 3, he's going to let me stream my life just as I have been. So the only thing that would change for me here is that you would have a different background, but everything else would be the same. I didn't check if he has the internet. He better have the internet. Oh my God, if he doesn't have the internet, I gotta make sure he's got the internet. I imagine he does. If not, we'll make sure he can get the internet, because there are like low-cost programs and things we can do. I'm not too worried about that, though. We'll make sure he gets the internet. With that said, I'm going to try to stay here for another month. I got to go to court on Tuesday, appear at court, and hopefully I only have to go once. I have to take the bus there, and it's pretty far away, but, I'll get there. I'm a survivor, and we're going to make this coin the global reserve currency someday. And this is just going to be part of our journey. How are things with you, Turbo Autism? What's new in your neck of the woods?
This report is sponsored by Whole Foods Market. The love affair is on at Whole Foods Market. Sizzling sales on animal welfare certified New York
Wow.
sustainable wild-caught lobster tails.
Did it all make the bowl? Did it all go inside the bowl? The bowl where you poop, did it all go inside? Oh, you needed it. So, yeah. Wow. And was it food poisoning or something?
Trusted generic alternatives to the name brand at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic to Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication.
Well, even still, that sounds like a better day than I had.
No expensive appointments and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
I'm in agreement.
To learn the facts and know the science, and confidence to talk to your healthcare provider about screening.
Well, I'm glad I could catch up and just keep on surviving, baby.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help.
It's the best state in the world.
We reach more consumers in your target area.
Yeah, it's like 10 times better than anywhere else ever, except Israel.
Across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell dial.
Have you ever seen the girls in California? They're hotter than any chicks anywhere. Dude, there are square miles in West Los Angeles where the amount of hotness per person is so high that it's higher than most countries. I mean to say that I would take some square miles of Los Angeles County over the rest of the United States or the rest of the world. The diversity and beauty so diverse, but you've got models, you've got actors, you've got singers. Everybody's got a price, baby.
Pointing out Texas has a threshold of $2,500. However, in Texas, the second time they get you, now you're getting prosecuted. In California, that's the 12th time.
Take care, Turbo Autism.
He's such a slick, deceiving weed. Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Jerry and Shannon, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on because the state is getting ready for what will be a couple of very powerful storms. In fact, it's raining basically from San Francisco north as of right now, as the storm continues to move in through California. We'll see it here start to show up later tonight into tomorrow. Tomorrow, your way to work is going to be an absolute mess. So, but we'll talk about that. At Swamp Watch, of course, we'll talk about the latest, if we do see some sort of action, whatever the decisive response, retaliatory strikes would be from us towards Iran and towards the militias that are associated with them.
Justin Worsham will be along in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll be talking parenting with Justin, things including why exercise is important for children.
Hey, you heard Amy mention that plaque outside Bruce's Beach is gone. Somebody took it.
Yeah, they wanted the money with the copper.
Now, there's also a life-size bronze statue in Garvey Park in Wichita, Kansas, that was cut down. This is a life-size statue of Jackie Robinson.
Right.
Or I should say was. They cut it off at the ankles, and they found it dismantled and burned about 7 miles away. The Wichita Fire Department responded and said while they were assessing the damage, they realized that it was a statue of Jackie Robinson. Police say they do have surveillance footage of the theft from last Thursday morning. At least 2 people cutting down the statue, putting it in the bed of a truck that had been parked nearby, and then taking it away and trying to destroy it.
It's time for Terror in the Skies.
Flight 209, you're clear for takeoff. Roger, get off my plane. Roger. What's our vector, Victor? Enough is enough. I have had it with these multi-flight snakes on this Monday to Friday plane. It's Gary and Shannon's Terror in the Skies on KFI.
You know, a week ago, I was driving home listening to the John Cobelt show, and he did a deep dive on Boeing and what changed. We kind of touched on it because we both lived up in Seattle. We covered different Boeing events.
Company town.
It was a company town. It was Fort Knox. They were very protective over the brand. And John broke it down, the change that Boeing went through, where it used to be an engineering leadership type environment, where engineering was the thing. And then it moved into a corporate environment where making money was the thing, and that a lot of engineers became disheartened with Boeing and left, and how it all changed, and the rush to get the 737 in operation. Well, now, one-time senior Boeing manager Ed Pearson is saying, I would absolutely not fly a MAX airplane. He said, I've worked in the factory where they were built. I saw the pressure employees were under to rush the planes out the door. Not to mention that the FAA is in bed with the airlines. If you're looking to the FAA to make sure everything's copacetic and safe, there's a lot of, it's kind of like the FDA and the drug companies. There's a lot of incest going on.
A lot of revolving door employments between the two entities. One-time senior Boeing manager, a guy named Ed Pearson, told the LA Times, I would absolutely not fly a MAX airplane.
Sounds so much better when you say it.
Well, the 737 MAX 9 who of course was the one where the door plug flew out. Another engineer, Joe Jacobson, former Boeing engineer, also worked at the FAA. Again, there's that revolving door. Gave a similar warning, said it was premature for airlines to have resumed flying these planes. He said, I would tell my family to avoid the MAX, claiming that his time at the company made him realize that profits were prioritized over that quality control. Like you said, the change in culture. There are ways for you to find out if the plane that you are, you have your reservation on is going to be one of those airplanes. Now, I guess you could call the airline. Let's assume you were on Alaska Airlines for a flight coming up this weekend, and you know that it was a 737 MAX 8 or 9 or whatever, or just even a 737, because people will generalize and not take into account the differences between the different models. And say to the airline, I don't want to fly a 737. Now, if you're on Alaska, I don't even think they fly the MD-80s anymore. So you're stuck with the 737. You may not have to fly on a MAX. You may have to change airlines. You may have to change airports, all of that stuff, if you want to avoid the airplane itself.
Well, good luck with that, too. I don't think that phone call is going to go very far. I don't want to fly in the 737. Well, then good day. Have a good day, yeah.
Southwest, Alaska, I think that's all they fly.
Woman arrested at an airport in Colombia. She had 130 endangered poisonous frogs. To the tune of $130,000. Apparently, poisonous frogs are expensive.
Yeah, they said they might pay up to $1,000 a piece. And the scale of that picture right there, you can see these gloved hands.
They're little baby frogs.
Holding the frogs. They're tiny.
They're beautiful frogs, aren't they? Beautiful, brightly colored frogs.
They can be found in an array of color combinations, red and black, yellow and green, orange and silver.
And then there's the woman that flashed the cabin crew, pulling down her pants and underwear, threatened to kill her fellow flyers. Her name's Dulce. She's 60. Dulce Huertas, 60. She had 2 cocktails, and then the culo came out.
Let me just say that this is not a 2-cocktail move. I'm thinking that she had a couple more before she got on the plane.
I had 2 drinks.
Just 2. She's flying from Orlando to Philly. She has to get up and pee. She announces that she has to get up and pee. Flight attendant tells her to sit. Eventually, they tell everybody that they're going to need assistance at the arrival gate. So the captain was notified about the passenger, made an announcement to have everybody continue to sit. At the gate, Dulce gets up, pushes other passengers out of the way, where she goes to the bathroom, towards the bathroom, I should say, stopped by the cabin crew. She says, sorry, everybody, and then pulls down her trousers and underwear as she squats as if to urinate in the aisle.
Good-looking ass for 60, isn't it?
What?
Yeah. Well, it's not flat. There's a nice shape to it.
Can I point to this part?
Well, look at the back. I'm not looking. You're looking at the front. Look at the back. See?
Stand by. Let me get to that page.
That's some nice shape.
Is that a bruise or a tattoo?
That's a tattoo.
Are you sure?
Nope. All right.
Or storm.
Storm. Atmospheric river. Pineapple Express. Rain.
And?
Turn around. Don't drown.
Henry the Colonel. Jerry and Shannon will continue. Amy King is going to have an update on the news right after this.
Whether you love us, hate us, or haven't made up your mind, we're glad you're here.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Deadly crash in Canoga Park. I'm Amy King, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The driver of a Toyota Camry has been killed in a crash during a possible street race in Canoga Park. LAPD Detective Lizette Fuente says 2 cars were apparently involved overnight.
Witnesses are telling us that 2 vehicles were possibly street racing at a high rate of speed when one of the vehicles cut off the other vehicle and possibly tapped each other.
That's when the driver of the Camry lost control and slammed into a power pole on Topanga Canyon Boulevard at Van Owen. Police are trying to find the other driver, said to be in an older model, possibly black Mercedes. A man in Redlands has been accused of shooting another guy for using the women's restroom at a park.
Rudy Vasquez is also accused of hitting the man in the head with the gun. Police say 2 girls spotted the man in the women's restroom over the weekend. One of the girls told Vasquez about the man. Vasquez then allegedly attacked the man as he was leaving the restroom. Police say Vasquez took off in an SUV. Officers pulled Vasquez over and arrested him about a mile from the park.
Investigators say Vasquez threw a gun out his car window when he was pulled over. The man shot is expected to survive. He told police he tried using the men's restroom, but it was being used, so he went to the women's. Blake Trolley, KFI News.
The state lawmakers introduced a bill to let cities and counties designate areas where adults can drink alcohol in public. It would apply to areas served by bars and restaurants. State Senator Scott Wiener says the goal is economic recovery. He says the bill would responsibly activate downtown streets where activity has struggled to rebound since the start of the pandemic. Construction of a people mover at LAX has been delayed again. A report from the California Public Utilities Commission says the project is mostly done, but the automated people mover is now expected to be completed in April of 2025. One of the three major bond rating agencies in the U.S. says months of disagreements between LA World Airports and the company chosen to operate the system have led to delays and a strained relationship between the two partners. President Biden is planned to visit to the site of a Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. ABC's Karen Travers says the derailment forced thousands of people from their homes last year and sparked fears because of the amount of hazardous chemicals that spilled in the area.
The Biden administration faced heavy criticism for its immediate response, and the president's been under pressure to visit the community. The White House says when he goes next month, he'll meet with residents and discuss progress his administration has helped deliver.
Travers says the White House has been working with state and local leaders to protect the community and hold Norfolk Southern accountable. Walmart is offering annual stock grants to store managers in the U.S. as a new incentive. Starting in April, managers could get as much as $20,000 in Walmart stock every year. The company says the amount of grants will vary by store, with those overseeing smaller outlets eligible for less. Walmart says the new starting base salary for managers ranges from $90,000 to $170,000. It previously started at $65,000. The Universal Music Group is apparently wishing TikTok nothing but the best and pulling its music from the app. The group that represents Taylor Swift, Drake, Adele, Bad Bunny, and Billie Eilish says a licensing deal between the two parties has expired. UMG says it has not agreed to terms of a new deal with TikTok and plans to stop licensing content from its artists on the platform. Universal claims TikTok doesn't want to pay fair value for the music. TikTok pushed back, saying it reached artist-first agreements with every other label and publisher and accused Universal of being greedy. We'll check some problems with the 405 right after weather. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-60s at the beaches, near 70 for Metro LA and Inland OC, 60s to low 70s in the valleys and Inland Empire, 50s and 60s in the Antelope Valley. Rain's expected to start falling after midnight, and then expect to see rain heavy at times tomorrow with thunderstorms and gusty winds possible. Highs will be in the 50s to low 60s. A slight chance of showers Friday and Saturday. And then another storm is expected to roll in to Southern California on Sunday, and the rain's going to last probably for a few days. It's 64 in Lake Forest, 61 Aliso Viejo, 62 in Burbank, 63 in Pomona. The KFI market reports the Dow is trading up 43 points. The NASDAQ is down 193. The S&P 500 is off 36. Got a crash in Inglewood on the 405.
Yeah, this is making things pretty busy for the San Diego Freeway. This is the northbound side of the 405 at Manchester. It's off to the right shoulder, but a very slow drive as you approach that. Boyle Heights still have delays from the 10 west at the 5 to about National there. About 25-minute wait for you. Through Cerritos, heavy on the 91 Riverside Freeway, westbound from Carmenita to about Downey Avenue, and through South LA. Stop and go on the 110 North Manchester. About Washington, you can find that slow. Got a crash through Anaheim on the 91 westbound at East Street. And through Fountain Valley, 405 southbound at Brookers. Trouble off to the right. It's going to be a slow drive from about Beach Boulevard. Just give yourself a little room there as you make your way through. Also, heavy one on the 405. This is southbound, to make your way from the valley all the way through the Sepulveda Pass into the west side there. About 30-minute wait from the valley and through the Sepulveda Pass. Just give yourself time. And one more northbound on the 215, heavy from Alessandro to about the 60 connector. KFI in the sky, I'll get you there faster. I'm Mark Wheeler.
Americans pay about $5 billion a year to control termites and repair the damage. More than floods, earthquakes, hurricanes combined.
Call Pacific Coast Termite at 800 Pacific for a free home inspection. Certain restrictions apply. No tenting ever. Call 800 Pacific. 800 Pacific. Visit PacificCoastTermite.com. Call 800 Pacific.
Pacific Coast Termite. Kill termites.
The clean, friendly way.
Explore bizarre tales in the Very Special Episodes podcast hosted by Dana Schwartz and Friends. Every Wednesday, they'll tackle a new stranger than fiction story, like NASA agents cracking down on a black market moon rock trade, a poisoned Titanic cast, and Mark Twain's pivotal bar fight. New from iHeart Podcast.
That is every single one of these episodes. It is the fodder for you to say, I heard the craziest story on this podcast.
Listen to Very Special Episodes on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your sleep number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart, it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. Get started today at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, sports, talk, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. KMI AM 640.
Gary Shannon, KFI AM 640. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
CEOs of Meta, TikTok, X, and other social media companies testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee about child safety on their platforms. Lawmakers growing increasingly concerned about the effects on young people's lives. CEO Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, a veteran of congressional hearings since his first one over the Cambridge Analytica privacy debacle in 2018. It's the first time for some others, but it did get heated. There are people in the gallery there with pictures of their dead children, some of which committed suicide. They blame social media. At one point, Mark Zuckerberg turned to them and apologized.
President Biden has made it clear the U.S. will strike back after the drone attack that killed 3 American service members and wounded more than 40 at a small base in Jordan over the weekend. And a little bit of information has come out to a couple of different news sources. ABC News is reporting that an official said that would be carried out over the course of several days and that there would be multiple targets. That's not a surprise. NBC News said that Anthony Blinken referred to it as a multi-leveled attack. The White House specifically said that it would be tiered and that it would consist of both strikes and cyber operations, that it would take place over the course of weeks, not just days.
Terry Hatcher, is that one of your girls?
Boy, my wife thinks it is, but...
Well, listen to this. Terry Hatcher is done with the online dating scene. Apparently, one platform gave her the boot. They say the bombshell actress / Bond girl, who has long been a sex symbol in pop culture, opened up about her unceremonious exit from a dating app. She went to Hinge to find a good man. She said she was open and vulnerable, fully put herself out there. But they ditched her because they thought that she was fake. They couldn't believe that the Terry Hatcher was using their dating app.
I can't believe the Terry Hatcher is using their dating app.
Me too.
Why does she have to use a dating app?
I don't know, but I saw that Jared Goff met his fiance on a dating app. And I'm like, how do you...
Sports Illustrated model?
Yeah. And like, Jared Goff and the model are both on a dating app.
Do they have a private, like, dating app for celebrities?
Well, they have a rich people one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I suppose that's...
Hey, Gary and Shannon. I actually met Kevin Costner once.
I used to work for a bounce house company and dropped a bounce house off for his kid. Probably one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Really?
But yeah, it would be nice if you guys actually met him.
It would be, wouldn't it?
We met him. It's very fun.
Oh, Shannon, sometimes the things that come out of your mouth just crack me up. I'm over here operating a crane. I have to have a lot of finesse. And then I'm listening to you, and then you all of a sudden you talk about that lady up there in the airplane, and her culo comes out. It's like I had to stop. People are looking at me like, why are you stopping? Oh my gosh.
The cooler brings people together. It really does.
Who's standing the space shuttle up on its end, and he's like, wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Well, our friend Henry DiCarlo over at Channel 5 says that it's going to be rainy.
You know, with the rain, it's going to be challenging. We definitely have some rain. We've been talking about it quite a bit. And I think it looks like Thursday and Monday in particular will be two very wet days for us, for sure.
In fact, they're talking about half of the state under flood alerts this morning or tomorrow. This wet pattern continues well into the month. In fact, Northern California, I was listening to a radio station out of Sacramento this morning, and they were discussing how there are 6 or 7 straight days of rain forecast for Sacramento, which is not common.
I mean, first of all, you're in Sacramento.
Right.
Second of all, 6 or
And then
7
it's
straight
going to be
days.
So it's not going to be that bad down here in Southern California. Northern California is clearly going to bear the brunt of this. We mentioned yesterday that they were doing their snowpack survey out at Phillips Station or whatever it's called in this area. They didn't find very much. It was not a good showing in terms of snowpack. Still about 50%.
It was not a sexy snowpack, not a Deborah Marks sexy snowpack.
At all. But this storm could change some of that. We will see some of the. There's Deborah Marks.
Oh, there she is.
Sexy
oh,
snowpack.
You look like a snow angel. Look at that. Beautiful cream-colored jacket with a bit of a skirt to it.
Yes, and black tights, right?
She's like Princess, Snow Princess.
Like from Frozen or something.
Yeah.
Hey, whoa! Showed the.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. Do that again so that she can see. See? Look at that.
Oh, a nice little black leggings she's got. Sorry, we didn't need to sexualize you, Deborah.
That's my honest. But the nice warm weather that we saw, today's the last day. It's going to rain later tonight. We will see it probably throughout the morning commute tomorrow. So back your patience, kids.
Turn around, don't drown.
Don't drown. And Star Wars QQ.
Space War.
Pew pew! William Hung's new life. Well, the last time we revisited William Hung, we were learning of his severe gambling addiction that caused the end of his marriage. Now we're seeing that he's going to go work at the sheriff's office. Is this a good idea? I feel like this is a one-way ticket back to gambling addiction.
Let's see. Gary and Shannon will continue. Amy King is live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Classes have been canceled for the day at Brad Oaks Elementary School in Monrovia because of a fire on campus. Fire started about 15 minutes before classes were supposed to start. And there were students on campus at the time. They were taken to a safe area. No one was hurt, and firefighters were able to put the fire out in less than a half hour. FBI Director Christopher Wray says Chinese hackers are getting ready to unleash havoc on Americans. Wray and other top federal security officials will be testifying on Capitol Hill that the Chinese are planning to target critical infrastructure, including water treatment, electricity, and natural gas pipelines. A new report says too much screen time costs Americans about $73 billion a year. The report says digital eye strain caused by too much screen time causes neck and back pain, blurred vision, and headaches. Almost 70% of people working office jobs spend at least 7 hours a day looking at screens. We're going to take a look at the 5 next. Well, if I'm ever hurt in an accident, I know that I will be calling Sweet James.
Yeah, we've already talked about that's the team that we would want on our side in that situation, and so should you, because the attorneys at Sweet James don't just win. They win the most.
For example, one of our listeners was injured after being rear-ended at a red light.
The insurance company offered them $600,000. Now, it might seem like a lot of money, but with Sweet James protecting them, they were awarded $745,000 instead.
Now, they can't guarantee the outcome of a case, but whether it's a car crash, motorcycle accident, trucking accident, the Attorneys at Sweet James are unstoppable in their pursuit of justice, and you pay nothing until they win.
Yeah, so if you or a loved one is ever hurt in an accident, call Sweet James, 800-9-million, get a free consultation.
It's an easy number to remember during an uneasy time.
Don't wait, because waiting can actually hurt your case, so call the firm that wins the most. Call Sweet James.
1-800-9-million, 800-9-million, or go to sweetjames.com. Mix of sun and clouds, highs in the 60s to low 70s. Rain's expected to start overnight and last through tomorrow. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, well, let's go places. We've got a stall in Mission Viejo on the 5.
The San Diego Freeway, the northbound side of Oso Parkway, got a stall right in the middle of the roadway there. And it's going to be a little heavy there as you approach. Through Inglewood. Trouble on the 405 northbound in Manchester. That's going to be there. Crash off to the right. It looks like they're starting to clear that one out. Let's jump over to Anaheim and the 91 west at East Street, Riverside Freeway. A bit slow there for a crash. And through the Fountain Valley portion of the south, 405 here at Brookhurst. Crash off to the right. See how fine this guy up to get you there faster. I'm Mark Wheeler.
This report is sponsored by your Amazon Fresh store. This Valentine's Day, find savings you'll love at your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Make the night sizzle with heartwarming essentials. From roses to chocolate to delicious lobster tails. Share the love with help from your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Find a store near you. Pick It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
The check is good, the experience is smooth, and the reviews online are wonderful at givenewthevin.com. They don't call us America's Best Car Buy for nothing.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Explore bizarre tales in this very special episodes podcast hosted by Dana Schwartz and friends. Every Wednesday, they'll tackle a new stranger than fiction story, like NASA agents cracking down on a black market moon rock trade, a poisoned Titanic cat, and Mark Twain's pivotal bar fight. New from iHeart Podcast.
That is every single one of these episodes. It is the fodder for you to say, I heard the craziest story on this podcast.
Listen to very special episodes on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes you don't realize something was bothering you
until it's gone.
That's how you're going to feel
after we work on magic at your house.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
If you have rats in your attic or walls, don't make the mistake of putting out poison or wasting money with a company that charges you monthly to check rat traps. Rat Proof. For a one-time fee, Rodent Stop will identify and seal all rat entry points, trap and remove all rats, sanitize your attic to remove any nasty viruses, and remove and replace all rat nest-infested attic insulation. Rodent Stop is so confident that they can stop your rat and mice problems that they provide a lifetime guarantee. Read all the 5-star reviews on Yelp. If you have rats or mice in your house or business, call Rodent Stop at 800-290-5343. 800-290-5343. We provide fast, friendly, and effective rodent control solutions throughout Southern California. Plus, our technicians are clean, friendly, and always on time. To stop the rodents, call Rodent Stop at 800-290-5343. Open 24 hours. Call 800-290-5343.
My name is Chris Moody, host of the new podcast, Finding Matt Drudge. I'll be taking you on a journey to find the mysterious media mogul Matt Drudge, founder of The Drudge Report. Along the way, I'll talk to people who have worked with him, dined with him, and fought with him, taking listeners into private conversations, all in an attempt to get a better understanding of who Drudge is and what motivates him. Hopefully, he'll even sit down with us. Listen to Finding Matt Drudge on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
How are you doing, man? You've already won like 35 times, so you have a shirt already, don't you?
No, actually, I don't have a shirt yet.
Well, can you do 2? Because Hazel, thank you. You know?
His wife.
optimistic about it. Okay, well,
I like the
Kelly.
I love throwing Tuala under the bus.
Live 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Nobody but you will. Taking it down. And if you think it's your life, you can find the best in your heart. And then you'll be failed.
Jacob, you're really spreading your wings musically lately. What new music I'm hearing? It's fun.
Are you going through something?
Are you going through something, Jacob?
Elmo wants to check in with you and just see how it's going.
Elmo loves you.
I wish I could do an Elmo voice.
You could. I know you could.
Just I hear it in my head, and I don't think so.
Give it a try. That was good.
No, it wasn't. It's really pretty awful. We'll do Swamp Watch at the top of next hour. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff that's going on Capitol Hill today. Among other things, some tech CEOs are being grilled by a Senate committee. Mark Zuckerberg actually stood up and apologized to family members who have lost kids to suicide as a result of their use of social media. We'll talk about that.
I'm really happy. I mean, she likes that.
Movement when it comes to discussion for yet another ceasefire in Gaza. At this point, the United States, Qatar, Egypt, and Israel all got together in Paris and put together a formulation for a 6-week pause in fighting so that there could be some hostage transfers, Palestinian prisoner transfers, would also allow humanitarian aid to increase into Gaza, and in fact, and include, I should say, a temporary repositioning of some of the Israeli troops away from the high population areas that are in Gaza, and they're definitely talking about it. So that's good.
We have your chance at $1,000.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Money. That's money. M-O-N-E-Y. Enter it now at KFIAM640.com/cash.
And money goes on the website. That's the keyword. Make sure you keep an eye on your email inbox, because that's how we notify you that you won. An hour from now, we'll give you yet another shot to win $1,000.
William Hung went viral in 2004 when he auditioned for American Idol. He sang this song, She Bang, She Bang. He danced. It was comical. He was a student at University of California at Berkeley, and he said that he was a household name in less than 24 hours. He said, once they broadcast my audition, the next day I returned to school and people were asking me for pictures and autographs. I was like, what? What happened? What did I do? He parlayed that, I should say, to use a gambling term, parlayed that into a series of appearances and performances. Jay Leno, Ellen, Jimmy Kimmel. He did commercials. He's 41 now. And the last time we visited William Hung, we learned about his gambling addiction. And the reason he spent some time on it is because he recorded us a Christmas video.
Off of Cameo that Mondo was able to put together.
Hi, Shannon. This is William Hung from American Idol. Merry Christmas and congratulations on a great fourth movie.
Okay, I will say, he didn't even bother to step outside the car. He did this from the front seat of his car.
He was in the car in the front seat, probably outside of the bicycle casino.
And did Mondo ever disclose, I know it's not really cool to do it, but did he ever disclose the financial transaction that took place?
No, I'm dying to know how much that cost.
Big fan of the Gary and Shannon show on KFIAM 640 and the podcast on the iPod app. Thanks more. I also love the character by Rockstar. That's a whole lot of thick yet.
It's so good, Mondo. It was so good. I was on a plane. I don't know where I was going. Oh, probably up to the football game. And I saw that, and I was laughing so hard. It was so brilliant. And the best part about it is he pitches the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So Mondo is a stickler for pitching the podcast, and it's kind of like a running joke where he'll be like, hey, can you pitch the podcast? And I'll be like, no, I'm not pitching the podcast. It's just a joke. He's being juvenile. But the fact that he put that in there is what made me laugh the hardest.
Well, William Hung, when we talked about him a couple of weeks ago, it was after the Cameo message. He had put out basically I don't even know how to...
A love letter to his gambling addiction.
That's what it was. And it almost sounded as if it was a step in the process, right? If he's dealing with something like this, this would have been one of the 12 steps, or however many steps there were, for him to get through this problem. It led to his divorce, and unfortunately, that put him in a bad place. But he was working as a crime analyst for the sheriff's department at one point and left to become a professional poker player. He said that decision was what led him down this path of gambling addiction and derailed the rest of his life, costing him his marriage and nearly left him with no money. He's now back at the sheriff's department as a crime analyst.
And you know what he's going to do with that paycheck, that first paycheck? You're going to go...
No, he's going to save it.
No, you're going to go right down that 710, and you're going to cross over to the 5, and you're going to go to the Commerce Casino. And roll the dice with that paycheck.
I'm looking at the listing for the crime analyst the county sheriff want ad, and it's an older version of it, but analyzes, prepares reports, disseminates information and data relevant to actual and anticipated criminal activity to operational personnel to increase the effectiveness of patrol deployment, crime prevention, apprehension of suspects.
You know, William, if you want, I would head over to Yamava, because then you can stay there. The rooms are new. They're beautiful. They've got expanded gaming opportunities at Yamava. And you don't feel dirty when you're there, like you do if you're at the Bike or Commerce or something like that. At Yamava, you feel like you're doing something classy as you're gambling away that whole paycheck. They got great food. I like the food. I like the prices.
You know, you're the exact kind of sponsor that they would probably not encourage at Gamblers Anonymous.
Oh, but Yamava would encourage it. I'm not who you go. I'm not the friend you go to when you want help getting out of your addiction.
That is very true. I don't think that you'd be the one that would talk me. Hey, put that bottle down.
Yeah.
Elmo's voice sounds... Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning, Gary and Shannon. Elmo's voice sounds a little like this.
Elmo, today's number is 5, sponsored by the letter A.
That's pretty good.
That's really good. And the best part about that is that guy sounds a little creepy, and then like super lovable is Elmo.
All right, 2 giant, formerly beautiful West Coast cities are now dealing with the absolute pile of fecum that exists in their downtown areas.
They created it.
In Oregon, the city of Portland has declared a 90-day state of emergency, and in San Francisco, the pro-drug culture means that the fentanyl overdoses in that city are almost double what they are in other parts of the country.
Gary and Shannon will continue. Deborah Mark is in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
A pair of storms moving into Southern California are expected to bring heavy rain, strong winds, and plenty of snow. The first storm system is expected to arrive tonight, with the brunt of it arriving early tomorrow morning. Forecasters say rain could fall at a rate of half an inch per hour, with some areas seeing 3/4 of an inch per hour. Beaches in Orange County could see 4 to 6 foot waves, with some as high as 8 feet. Snow levels will drop to about 6,000 feet tomorrow, with up to 18 inches possible above 7,000 feet. A second storm system is expected to reach Southern California sometime on Sunday. That one could dump 2 to 4 inches of rain in lower elevations. Governor Newsom's office of the State Operations Center in Mather has been activated to coordinate a unified response to the storms across the state, local, and federal agencies. Officials are also getting ready for any flooding that might happen, and the governor's office of Emergency Services has been directed to lead an early, proactive push to pre-position state personnel and equipment in communities most at risk of damage before the worst of the storms arrive. The news is brought to you by Service Champion. A man in Redlands who allegedly shot another man for using the women's restroom has been arrested. 2 girls say they spotted the guy using the restroom in a park over the weekend. The shooter then attacked the guy who was walking out. Police later arrested the alleged shooter about a mile from the park. The man was shot. The man who was shot told police to use the women's restroom because the men's was being used. He is expected to recover. Malibu has approved a 2-year contract with the CHP to establish a traffic enforcement task force.
The task force will include 3 full-time officers and a part-time sergeant. The city council decided on the effort after 4 Pepperdine students were killed in October by a reckless driver on PCH. The council approved the contract last week and will cost roughly $700,000 a year. The officers will do regular patrols in the city with special attention on PCH, including conducting speed enforcement zones. After the students were killed last year, the city declared a state of emergency to allow the immediate hiring of CHP officers for short-term patrols. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
The FBI director is set to warn lawmakers about the threat to Chinese cyber attacks against the U.S. ABC's Andy Fields says Christopher Wray will tell the House Committee on the Chinese Communist Party the U.S. is not doing enough to stop China from targeting critical electrical grids, oil pipelines, and transportation.
Intelligence officials say those attacks could cost the U.S. trillions and threaten lives, that Congress must make sure they devote resources to stopping future Chinese cyber attacks.
Hackers in China last year breached the email accounts of the State and Commerce Department. Officials say the hacking campaign lasted around a month. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy with highs in mid to upper 60s for metro LA, mid 60s to around 70 in the valleys, mid 50s to mid 60s in the high desert, low 60s for the beaches, around 70 inland OC, upper 60s to low 70s in the IE. The rain comes in tonight and we will have a lot of rain tomorrow morning. Right now, 59 in La Palma, it's 61 in Irvine. We're going to a crash on the 5 in Tustin.
Santa Ana Freeway, the northbound side at the 55, crash off to the right. You got a new problem popping up through Pasadena. Got a wreck right in the middle of the roadway on the 210, the Foothill Freeway eastbound at Mountain Street. Stop and go from Lincoln to Big Ray, the car that have mixed it up. And through Downey, another new problem here, the 5 north at Lakewood to the Center Divider. Stop and go from Florence. Get about a 5 to 10 minute wait there as you head through. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Mark Wheeler.
At one of the most famous restaurants in the world, there's a table in the corner that's the hottest reservation on the planet.
Over here.
Saved for the restaurant's owner and her hand-picked personal guest, Ruthie Rogers and her River Cafe Table 4. That's where the most incredible conversations on the planet are happening every week, captured in her very special podcast with guests like Will Ferrell.
My dinner one night, pasta, and the only thing I had was some mustard. My roommate at the time was like, "You can borrow some of my tomato sauce." I'm like, "Oh no, I prefer the mustard."
Martha Stewart.
I did not have an affair with Michael Caine, but I did have an affair with one of his best friends.
And Jimmy Fallon.
We were the most boring people to ever stay at Richard Branson's Island. He's so fun. And he kept telling us, "Like, would you like to go race in the submarine?" You know, we're like, "No, we're happy in the pool."
We've saved you a seat. It's all in her very intimate podcast, Ruthie's Table 4. Listen to Ruthie's Table 4 on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you can save money. Good to know. Visit Allstate.com or call for a quote today.
Need a roofer? Then you need the dream team at AllGuard. AllGuardRoofing.com. AllGuardRoofing.com. Is the IRS after you? The Tax Defense Group is here to help. The Tax Defense Group will fight for you. American Vision Windows, SoCal's choice for energy-efficient windows and doors. AmericanVisionWindows.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say keyword great result. That's pound 250 and say great result.
Are you still inspired? What are you actually just listening to? Rabbi wanted friends to help migrants feel energized, to help them.
Funded by USDA SAM and Equal Opportunity Provider and Employer. More help and victories at CalFreshHealthyLiving.org.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick,
Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life. He's an American icon with countless hit songs that changed our lives. He stopped releasing music decades ago. Lucky for us, he's back now with a brand new song, and we've got it at iHeartRadio.
I had no intention of writing or singing or recording in a studio ever again.
Hear the iHeartRadio world premiere of Billy Joel's Turn the Lights Back On and the story behind how it all came together. Tomorrow morning at 7, right here. KFI AM 640.
An iHeartRadio station.
More stimulating talk.
I'm taking a pandemic trip this weekend. A trip that I had planned for then the pandemic hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had to cancel it. So finally, I'm going to go to Mexico City.
That's nice.
Yeah, because I remember when I went for football in 2019.
We all do. You came
the equal
severely ill.
Right.
I'm not a doctor, and I just said, hey, have a couple pops of brandy and put a sweatshirt on and sweat it out.
You did say that.
I didn't realize that it was going to cause you massive gastrointestinal.
I went home, I put the sweats on. I don't think I had the whiskey. And I took my temperature, and it was 104. And I called urgent care. 104. I called urgent care, and they were like, you need to come in immediately. And then
you said, yeah, but Gary said, and they said,
had I known what they were going to have me do there, I would not have gone. I would have taken my chance with death.
See, have you been practicing your Spanish?
Sí. Quite okay, sí.
The House Homeland Security Committee has approved a couple of articles of impeachment against Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas of the Department of Homeland Security. They did it overnight. It was past midnight, as a matter of fact, in D.C. when they voted 18 to 15 party line vote. The panel endorsed a resolution that would charge Mayorkas with refusing to uphold the law and breaching the public trust by failing to stop the surge of migrants across the United States border with Mexico. The judge that's overseeing Donald Trump's civil fraud trial could soon decide on the size and scale of the penalty against the former president. Judge Arthur Engoron, had previously said that he wanted to come to a decision by today on how the former president and the real estate company, the Trump Organization, should be punished over these fraud allegations.
Well, they have put in place a 90-day state of emergency in downtown Portland. This is all about fentanyl. This is an emergency declaration to address the public health and public safety crisis there. They cited overdoses, deaths, fear driven by fentanyl use.
Okay. Oregon voters passed Measure 110 back in 2020.
This is the measure that lets you get off with a citation if you're caught with heroin.
Yeah, it would decriminalize the use of drugs, including fentanyl. And since 2020, opioid deaths in Oregon have steadily climbed. Now, I wonder why. I can't believe they thought that decriminalizing this would lead to fewer overdose deaths. There were 280 opioid overdose deaths. Try it again. There were 280 opioid overdose deaths in Oregon in 2019. 280. By 22, there were 956.
Wow, that is huge.
So I don't even know what an emergency declaration in the city of Portland is going to do.
I guess freeze up statewide money. I don't know. You're not gonna spend your way out of this. The only way you're going to spend your way out of this is building mental hospitals and forcing people into treatment and or jail.
They do say that there will be a stand-up command center in the central part of Portland, which will quickly be torn down by people who think it's the state overstepping its bounds. Now, there's another article.
Where's the ACLU with their lawsuit saying that this is unconstitutional?
Right. There's a similar article that came out today in the New York Times. A guy named Herman Lopez talked about San Francisco, and he went to San Francisco to understand what was going on, specifically with the overdose death rate in San Francisco. Because 5 years ago, it was roughly in line with the rest of the country. Last year, the death rate from overdoses in San Francisco was more than double the national level. And what Herman Lopez writes in the New York Times is that part of the contributing factor here is culture, which I thought was an interesting way to put it. He talked about culture, like an abstract concept, of course, but it does matter for drug policy. In 1965, he points to smoking as an example. In 1965, 42% of American adults smoked cigarettes. By 2021, less than 12% did. And we did it, we cut that not by outlawing tobacco. I mean, we've made it really expensive.
Yeah.
But along with the taxing of tobacco, we've also done a huge, sustained public health campaign that told people it was bad. Surgeon General's warning on the packs, those commercials where she had the thing, like awful, scared you out of smoking, right? It was no longer a cool thing. I mean, it didn't work on you.
Yeah, it didn't work on me. And the thing is that there was a change in culture. Everyone smoked in the 90s. And then suddenly you kind of are hiding it. You're finding yourself like going behind, you're at work. I remember in Sacramento, I think it was 20 years ago. And I remember, I'd go around the building so that nobody would see me smoking. And that's what got me to stop doing it, when it felt like something I had to hide.
And part of that, like I said, we didn't outlaw the tobacco.
Right.
We just told you couldn't do it here.
But
you can't do it there. You can't do it there.
Exactly. So just put fentanyl in that. If you're having these open-air drug cities like Portland and San Francisco, you don't have to hide to do your fentanyl. Hey, you can do it on the Muni. You can do it on public transit. Everyone's doing it. It's the same thing.
And they know it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Herman Lopez says, when I ask people living on the streets why they're in San Francisco, the most common response was that they knew they could avoid the legal and social penalties that follow addiction. Some of them came from as close as Oakland because believing that San Francisco is more permissive. Think about that. You look at Oakland and you think, man, they're going to crack down on drugs. I can't do it here. I'm going to go across the bay and do it in San Francisco.
Crazy.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing. People are going to seek out those cities where they can feel comfortable doing with their drugs.
But the people that are arguing on their behalf, the ones that will argue like bodily autonomy, they can do whatever they want to their bodies. You can't tell them what to do. What? Because then that person, by doing whatever they want to do to their body, becomes a drain on our society. Not my society, our society. We are all paying the price for it. And then when your property taxes go up because they can't take care of this, or you have to sell a house that's, dropped by 70% in value because of the number of dead bodies that have shown up on the sidewalks, it's just something.
Well, Elmo took to X on Monday to ask a straightforward question. Elmo is just checking in. How is everybody doing? Well, Elmo broke the internet over the past 48 hours. We even have the President of the United States chiming in with Elmo.
Not that he's got other things on his plate right now.
Before he addressed how we are going to respond to Iran, or whoever was to blame for the 3 service members being killed, we're checking in on Elmo. Okay.
Not a joke.
But anyway, we'll tell you about the deluge of comments that flooded Elmo's post.
Gary Shannon will continue. Deborah Mark, live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
A Menifee School District employee has been arrested in connection with child porn. Menifee PD says the man was arrested yesterday with the help of the National Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. The charges have been filed in San Bernardino County against the 5 men. Arrested for the murders of 6 people in the high desert near Adelanto. All 5 are charged with special circumstances, murder and robbery. All but 1 are also facing firearms charges. The bodies of the murdered men were found last week in El Mirage. The San Diego Foundation has granted $120,000 to several nonprofits for local flood relief. Officials say the organization has also raised more than $550,000 for the San Diego Flood Response Fund. The money goes to organizations helping with cleanup after flash floods displaced residents and damaged homes last week. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy, high in the 60s, low 70s. This report brought to you by Unbound.org. We're going to a crash on the 405 in Long Beach.
San Diego Freeway northbound at Pacific Place. We've got a problem off to the right, slow from Cherry Avenue to Pasadena. Still on the 210 eastbound Foothill Freeway at Mountain. Got a crash in the middle of the roadway, stop and go from Lincoln. Accident through Downey. The 510 Freeway northbound at Lakewood Boulevard. Center divider is that. It is stop and go from Florence. You're going to find about a 10 to 15 minute wait there through Downey on the 5 North. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Mark Wheeler.
This report is sponsored by your Amazon Fresh store. This Valentine's Day, find savings you'll love at your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Make the night sizzle with heartwarming essentials. From roses to chocolate to delicious cookies. Share the love with help of your local Amazon Fresh grocery store. Find a store near you.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
At Ralph's, shopping with pickup and delivery is the same as shopping in store. Same low prices, deals, and rewards on the same high-quality items. It's one small click for groceries, one big win for busy families everywhere. Start your cart today at Ralphs.com. Ralphs, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Save on the snack time favorite. Red, green, or black seedless grapes are on sale. Just $1.99 a pound with your card and digital coupon. Ralphs, fresh for everyone.
Is the IRS after you? The Tax Defense Group is here to help. The Tax Defense Group will fight for you.
At one of the most famous restaurants in the world, there's a table in the corner. That's the hottest reservation on the planet.
Ah, yes, sure, here.
Saved for the restaurant's owner and her hand-picked personal guests. Ruthie Rogers and her River Cafe Table 4. That's where the most incredible conversations on the planet are happening every week, captured in her very special podcast with guests like Will Ferrell.
My dinner one night, pasta, and the only thing I had was some mustard. My roommate at the time was like, you can borrow some of my tomato sauce. I'm like, oh no, I prefer the mustard.
Martha Stewart.
I did not have an affair with Michael Caine, but I did have an affair with one of his best friends.
And Jimmy Fallon.
We weren't the most boring people to ever stay over to Branson's Island, which is so fun. We said, Fallon, good morning. Would you like to go race in a submarine? You know, we're like, no, we're happy in the pool.
We've saved you a seat. It's all in her very intimate podcast, Ruthie's Table 4. Listen to Ruthie's Table 4 on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design, and more people kept ordering from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now, how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed. Get ready for the big game with the free iHeartRadio app. Pre-game with perfectly tailored playlists like Big Game Tailgate Party and more. Just open the free iHeartRadio app. Search Tailgate and listen now. Make the big game great with iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
I understand that they have to have permits to make sure all the buildings are built to a certain code, right? But what is the state sticking their nose in saying, wow, you don't have enough poor people in your neighborhood. You don't have enough cheap apartments. John Cobos, you can't charge enough rent to make these projects work financially.
Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. Stories that we are following. Iran has threatened to decisively respond to any U.S. attack on the Islamic Republic following President Biden linking Iran to the killing of 3 American soldiers at a military base in Jordan. The U.S. has said it's preparing for retaliatory strikes in the wake of the Sunday drone attack that also injured at least 40 troops. There's some concerns that any additional American strikes might spread this thing into a wider war. U.S. officials also said today that a Navy destroyer did shoot down an anti-ship cruise missile that was launched by Houthi rebels there in Yemen. South Africa says that Israel is ignoring the ruling by a UN top court last week by killing hundreds more civilians in a matter of days in Gaza. Just as sister countries asked why an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has not been issued in a case that South Africa has brought at the separate International Criminal Court. Oh, the rich irony. South Africa calling other people out. Okay.
Do you want to give your Elmo voice another try?
Okay, everybody, it's time to brush your teeth.
That was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So,
I'll get your toothbrush.
Oh.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush.
Yeah.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush.
Beautiful Katy Perry mashup.
Brush, brushy, brush. Brushy, brush,
Brush, brush, brushy, brush. That's catchy.
That's what I sing when I'm brushing my teeth.
Is that right?
About a minute and a half of good time to brush your teeth. A minute and a half, 2 minutes.
My toothbrush will only smile at me if I brush for 2.5